Vamos a dar un aplauso al trío, por favor. ¿Qué pasa? Let's give a nice round of applause al trío. Por fin llegó la comida, so por favor comen, por favor, porque tenemos como 10 minutos para comer. Por favor, there's the food, please. There's plenty of food back there. Enjoy. Please eat because we only have about 15 minutes before we start the program. Please, please get up, eat, eat, eat.
Let me text them downstairs and tell them. Yeah, that's messed up. Did you see Justin Murphy's article?
I have natural.
Porque no lo hicieron ellos mismos.
I'm pissed. I gotta chill out because I'm ready to say, what about this?
Did you see Justin Murphy's article? He called out the equity rate and he called out Tim's report.
Who's report? Tim? Who's?
Dr.
I haven't even
Dr.
been.
Tim.
Who's there? What kind of report did
He
he
did a
have?
budget analysis. Budget analysis report.
You're done? Okay, let's give him a nice round of applause. Vamos a dar un aplauso a Luis Carrión. Luis, stand up, please. Orlando Núñez y Tony Padilla. Come on, folks. Yeah. Woohoo! start now? Do we start? Bienvenidos a todos. Good evening, everyone. I think we're starting a little late, but please hang in there. Bienvenidos a los comisioneros de la Junta Escolar, superintendente, estudiantes, familias y amigos a la celebración del mes de la Gerencia Hispana del Distrito. Nuestro lema: honrar a nuestros estudiantes y conectar nuestras comunidades. Estamos aquí como una comunidad para apoyar a nuestros niños. Nos sentimos orgullosos de sus logros y estamos aquí para celebrar sus éxitos. Welcome, school board commissioners, superintendent of schools, parents, students, staff, and community representatives to the Rochester City School District Hispanic Heritage Month celebration, honoring our scholars and connecting our communities. We are here to support our scholars as a community and our leaders who give back to support our children and family. We are proud of your accomplishments and are excited to celebrate your success. Vamos a darle un aplauso para nuestros niños y padres. Let's give a round of applause to our students and parents. Before we begin our program this evening, please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Antes de comenzar nuestro programa esta noche, vamos a ponerle de pie para recitar el juramento de la bandera. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. I cannot continue the program in both languages because we have less than an hour to finish, so I am sorry. We're going to go right into remarks. Beatrice Lebron, our commissioner, is here on behalf of Van White, and she will open up with some welcoming remarks.
Thank you. All right, bienvenidos. Primeramente, bienvenidos y gracias a todos por estar aquí hoy. So welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I take great pride in Hispanic heritage, and I hope that you guys do too. We get an odd month, September 15th to October 15th, so we have to treasure both months. So on behalf of the Board of Education, Van White wanted to be here today and started off, but he is still commuting back. So we, as part of the Board of Education, just again want to thank you all for being here and honoring every individual who's winning an award, and there are lots of folks who do a lot of work and fight for Latinos and are deserving of an award that may not get one today, but we want you to know that we are watching you and we thank you as well, and we're going to get it started because we're very limited with time, so I'm going to introduce our superintendent, Barbara Dean Williams, and she'll be up next.
Bienvenidos a todas. Muchas gracias a los miembros del comité. Esta celebración es hermosa. Thank you, you're very kind. I want to thank everyone who's here for the entire Hispanic Heritage Committee for planning and organizing this great celebration. This is just one of the most wonderful events that we have every year, and I always look forward to it. And what's really exciting this year is that we have so many more people participating. So that lets me know that we all want to celebrate and congratulate our students for their scholarship and the awards they're going to win tonight. So I don't want to take too much time other than to say how very grateful I am to all of you for your tremendous contributions. It's really a privilege to celebrate your heritage and the culture of the Hispanic and Latino community, and to recognize the very significant contributions and importance of the presence that you are in the community. And many of you in the audience tonight, you just do so much for the schools and the community. I can't call you out by name, but let's give everyone, you know who you all are, a round of applause. We're so very excited in the Rochester School District. We have great hope and optimism for our future. We know that it's our diversity that sets us apart from everyone else. We have what it takes here in the community to make a difference in the lives of children, and we're honored tonight to be able to recognize so many of our students to receive awards for their outstanding accomplishments. We know in Rochester that we're on the move, and we also know that people talk about the achievement gap. But what we have here is an opportunity gap, and we want to make sure that your children, my children, our children in this city have everything it takes to show us what they can do, because we know that we have great, great students. So again, thank you so much for being here. And now I want to introduce Abel Perez Ferret. All of you know Abel, and he's going to have a few words to say as well. Thank you so much.
Muy buenas noches a todos. Good evening, everybody. It is, I'm really excited to be here tonight and to be able to celebrate the achievement of our students. Estoy muy contento de estar aquí esta noche con ustedes y poder celebrar a nuestros estudiantes. Gracias por venir y gracias por apoyarlos. El apoyo de los padres es usualmente lo que hace que nuestros estudiantes triunfen. Y detrás de cada estudiante, detrás de cada triunfo, hay esos padres que oran, ayudan y están con ellos. Así que muchas gracias. I want to thank the parents for being here today, and thank you because you are the strength. You are you are behind the students after their success. There is a parent. After every student's success, there is usually somebody encouraging them and helping them to move forward. Así que reciban un saludo de parte del Departamento Bilingüe. Estamos aquí para servirle. On behalf of the Multilingual Department, we're here to serve you. Please contact us if you need anything. Thank you.
Now the special awards presentation. If I can have Commissioner Elizabeth Hallmark please come forward, who will be presenting the Roberto Clemente Student Award. Ginalise Malco Rivera, she here from school number 8.
Ginalise? Ginalise, how you say it?
Ginalise. I'm so sorry, I forgot. La madre de la escuela número 8, Belén Colón, la señora Belén Colón, the mother of school number 8, will also be joining us. And anyone from school number 8, school principal or teacher, please come forward, and parents.
Good evening, everyone. 5th grade student Ginalise Marco Rivera has been chosen to receive the Roberto Clemente Student Award this year because she embodies much of the values and attributes of Roberto Clemente himself as a ball player and as a person. Like Clemente, Ginalise is not afraid of taking risks and continually strives to achieve or improve. She volunteers to answer questions in class and challenges herself to advance her academic achievement. Ginalise Marco Rivera also exhibits enthusiasm, a characteristic for which Roberto Clemente was well known. She is an eager student who genuinely enjoys reading and learning. Also like Roberto Clemente, Ginalise appreciates teamwork and enjoys contributing to her community. She readily volunteers in school activities and projects and offers support to other students. Ginalise serves as a role model for students at Roberto Clemente School number 8, collaborating with her peers and holding them accountable in a graceful, non-threatening manner. She has been a key member of the school community, planting a garden for the school beautification project and participating in school music programs. For her work ethic and contributions to developing a strong team and school community, we are happy to honor Ginalise Marco Rivera with the Roberto Clemente Student Award. I'll hold it there if you want to say something first, okay? Congratulations.
I am proud to get this award. I want to thank my family and my teachers for helping me with my education. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the Volunteer Youth Award, presented by Melanie Funches. Did I say that right? I'm sorry. Commissioner, please come forward. Maria Angelis Gonzalez. Is she here? Come forward. Funches.
Sorry. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Tonight we're here to honor Maria Angelis. Is her family here? Are there people here? Do you have people? Come on. This is a good time. So if there's people from her school, family members, come and stand. So now we get to embarrass you because I get to talk about you like you're not here, right? As grown-ups often do. Maria Angelis is a senior at School of the Arts. Maria Angelis Gonzalez has dedicated a great deal of her time and effort to helping others in a variety of ways. She has assisted younger students in grades K through 5 to develop stronger English skills, participated in American Red Cross Youth Leadership Program, and has applied these principles at school and in the community. Cleaned veterans' graves to honor their service, and distributed flyers door to door to provide information to community members about the free installation of firearms. She stated, "I enjoyed this because I met new people and realized how so many families did not have these firearms, and I was part of the solution. I enjoy being a team player." Maria Angelis Gonzalez is also actively involved in her church, supporting events for families to learn about spirituality, creating social media for the church, recording services for those who are not able to attend because of illness, and helping to prepare meals for those who are homeless. Maria Angelis shared, "One person cried on my shoulder, giving thanks because they had no family and were going to spend Thanksgiving alone. Sometimes we think about ourselves and we don't think about the needs of others. A simple act of kindness can make a humanistic change." At School of the Arts, Maria Angelis has assisted with fundraising for the speech and debate team and is now a member of the team. Her goal is to attend the pre-med biology program at the University of Rochester or Rochester Institute of Technology to prepare for a career in medicine. Please join us in celebrating the great service and accomplishments of Maria Angelis Gonzalez. Now, what I want to say, as a PK, a preacher's kid, you doing the thing, okay? And we just want to say thank you for you being a role model, not just to younger students, but to other youth of your age in the community. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board.
Buenas noches a todos. I will be saying my little speech in Spanish for Spanish-speaking families. Quisiera darle las gracias primeramente a Dios, el que me ha ayudado a persistir en mi estudio. Me ha dado la fuerza y valentía para seguir hacia adelante y porque me ha dejado ver oportunidades y necesidades en nuestra comunidad. Le quiero dar las gracias a mi madre por siempre estar ayudándome y declarando que tengo el potencial de hacer tantas cosas. Quiero darle las gracias a mi tío, a mi primo y mi tía, el cual no pudieron llegar, pero siempre han sido mi motivación y gran apoyo. Gracias a Alicia Sica por siempre abrirme las puertas a tantas oportunidades. Mientras he hecho tantas cosas en mi comunidad, he aprendido a ser una mejor persona, una líder en mi comunidad y una joven llena de pasiones para mejorar la comunidad y ayudar a aquellos a mi alcance. Un líder en la comunidad no es distinguido por su título, pero en la forma que impacta al mundo. Hay mucha necesidad y el mundo necesita gente como usted y como yo en este mundo para marcar la diferencia. Cada uno que está en este lugar tiene el potencial de marcar una vida de una manera positiva. Gracias.
Gracias. Just to quickly, basically she's sharing her thanks to her family, all the people who've made a difference in her life, and that we all should should serve as a servant and give from the heart, because it is a blessing for those that are in need. Amen. Academic Excellent Achievement Award, presented by Commissioner Natalie Shepard. Sebastian Gonzalez, can you please come forward? Family from Monroe, your family, tu mamá, tu papá, who's here? Come on forward, please.
Buenos noches. Oh, I thought y'all was gonna be like, oh, I gotta get some oohs like the superintendent. Sorry, good evening, everybody. It's my honor, definitely, to award Sebastian Gonzalez with the Academic Excellent Achievement Award. This year, let's see. See, I said something off script, and now the script says exactly what I was about to say. So Sebastian has attended the school since 7th grade and has worked diligently to attain a 4.38 grade point average. Sebastian says of himself, "I am shy, but it's an honor to receive the Academic Achievement Award. Being a student at James Monroe High School has served me well. The staff are caring, loving, and do their best to work with students. I am an example of how dedicated staff can help lead students to success." Sebastian Gonzalez is fascinated by history and the way that people are affected by past events. He has a deep love of reading and learning, and his favorite book is the Bible. His goal is to attend the history program at Roberts Wesleyan College, which is an emphasis on teaching youth about the Bible as a resource for resiliency. Sebastian conveyed his message to all students. Just keep trying to do your best. If you fall down 7 times, you can get up by the 8th. Never give up and believe in yourself. Please join us in honoring Sebastian Gonzalez for receiving the Academic Excellence Achievement Award.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone here for taking your time out of the day to be here.
Gracias. Thank you. Volunteer Education Award, presented by Commissioner Willow Powell, our Vice President. And Luis Perez will be receiving the Volunteer Award. Can you please come forward, Mr. Perez, with your family and anyone from your workplace? Your family, I know your family is a large family. And who's here from? Who are you going to call out? Come on forward, please. Family, supporters, cousins. I thought that Connor was here. Conger, you need to come forward with your wife.
Okay. Very good. Mr. Luis Perez has dedicated his career to education and enhancing opportunities for low-income youth in the Rochester community. As the Director of Program Support and Expansion for the Greater Rochester Summer Learning Association, Mr. Perez has worked to close the achievement gap by ensuring that low-income students are provided with quality, research-based instruction and enrichment to STEM summer learning gloss. These summer programs encourage students to develop all aspects of their potential by introducing them to a wide range of activities such as swimming, tennis, arts and crafts, and gardening. During the year, Luis Perez regularly participates in the district's attendance blitzes to encourage kids to attend and remain in school to pursue their education. He recognizes the importance of nurturing child development in school and in community programs, whether over the summer or during the rest of the year. Mr. Perez is a member of the Greater Rochester After School Alliance advocating for program standards and stable funding to ensure all children to attend quality after-school programs. Luis Perez has also founded a number of programs for youth in Rochester, including HOPE initiatives to serve Monroe County and Project COPE for children of incarcerated parents. Mr. Perez has worked with numerous agencies serving children and youth in our community as an advisor to the Early Childhood Education Quality Council and board member of Young Audiences of Rochester, United Way, Metro Carlson YMCA, Camp Good Days, and Genesee Settlement House. For more than 30 years, and I've known Mr. Perez for at least 20, has devoted his time and effort to establishing and promoting quality education programs for all children in Rochester. His commitment to generating opportunity and improving life prospects for our children and youth is the reason he is being presented with the Education Volunteer Award this evening. The plaque reads, RCSD Board of Education and Superintendent present Volunteer Education Award to Luis A. Perez, October 18, 2018, for his extraordinary commitment and dedication to serve our students.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to give thanks to the superintendent, to the board, obviously, and to the committee that have chosen me. I do want to just congratulate Maria Angelis, who was my intern this past summer, and I'm going to tell you that girl's going to change the world wherever she ends up. She's unbelievable, so congratulations to her. It was our honor to have her with us this past summer. There's so many people that have influenced my life. I like to talk about my mom, who was illiterate, but was a master at hospitality and accepting people into the community and just knew how to build community. And I always remember my mom telling me that no matter your lot in life, you can help somebody else. And I often remember the evenings where she would send me with 3 or 4 plates out to the community, take this to Mrs. So-and-so and take this to this house, knowing that we were poor and that we were in need, but she always found a way to make a difference. I also have a couple of people growing up. One of them obviously was Father Tracy, who I met when I was 10 years old. And the other one, a dear colleague of mine, Sue Costa, who I met as a young guy going to Lewis Street Center, and she was a youth worker. And she was pretty young herself, actually. And then there's my brother Ray standing right here. I always tell him he's my hero. He doesn't believe me, but he is. And Ray got his engineering degree and retired from the Eastman Kodak Company with a very successful career. But the person I need to kind of really give a shout out today is my wife. So last Friday, my wife and I celebrated our 44th wedding anniversary. And so we were talking to each other last week, you know, just asking the question, where did the years go? But I wouldn't have been able to do anything that I've done, be able to have the impact I've had on the community without her as my colleague and my covering and all those things that she provides for me. So I want to thank you, honey, dedicate this to you. Thank you very much.
Group picture. There you go. Tom, how can we do this? Okay, folks. Oops, se cayó. Gracias, thank you. And now we're going to present the Community Service Award, presented by Commissioner Cynthia Elliott, given to Mercedes Vasquez Simis, who is here with her mother, who's going to accept the award on her behalf, Belén Colón, la madre de la comunidad. I have to say she's the mother of the community and the family.
How's everybody doing this evening? Let me take a point of personal privilege. I know that I don't have to do that during this kind of event, But my friend back there who just got this award, the Volunteer Education Award, Louis Perez, I've known him before he was married. He and I used to walk them streets to School 14. Am I right about it? He lived on Woodward. I lived down on Scio Street. You know, we used to go to Lewis Street Center together. So I didn't realize when he was telling me him and Pam had been married 44 years that he was going to be receiving this award. It gives me great pleasure to congratulate you because I know the work that you've done in this community, and I'm just so proud of you. And just look at where we are now. You know, from 14 school, who would have thought we'd have been here, right? So I just wanted to share my congratulations to you and Pam. This award is for the Community Service Award. This award is probably dear to my heart because, you know, as Louis and I are doing, we do this work, you know, every day. We are here in the trenches, and we know what this work is about. And so it gives me great privilege to recognize Mercedes Vasquez Simmons. Ms. Vasquez Simmons is president of Pretty Girl Productions, the first Puerto Rican female boxing and MMA promoter in the United States. Now, we have boxing at Baden Street. Anybody, you know about that, the boxing at Baden Street? So come on over. Let her come on over. And we have girls over there. She began her career by working with Spanish-speaking fighters at Rock Solid Management, a boxing management company based in New York City. In 2002, Mercedes launched her own full-service boxing and mixed martial arts company, Pretty Girl Productions, which has been featured in major publications and media outlets such as ESPN and Fight News. She has had the opportunity to work with world-class champion fighters such as Lee Murtaugh, Hector Camacho Jr., Patrick Hyland, and Melissa Hernandez. Besides promoting the health and well-being of fighters, Ms. Vasquez Simmons' company has contributed to the local economy by bringing world-class boxing events to Rochester. Pretty Girl Productions contributes over $100,000 per year to the Rochester economy and hires individuals who may have difficulty finding employment, such as veterans, retired athletes, and those released from prison. On January 1st, 2018, Mercedes announced plans to open a boxing gym in honor of her mentor, Carmen Barcillo. The Carmen Barcillo training facility will be located in downtown Rochester and focus on addressing the high crime and dropout rates that plague youth in the city. A full boxing and mixed martial arts program will be offered, as well as after-school tutoring, nutrition, and personal development. Ms. Vasquez Simmons has received numerous awards for her leadership and achievement. Her dedication to Rochester and the Hispanic community is exemplified by her work as president of the Father Lawrence Tracy Advocacy Center, ambassador to the World Boxing Cares Puerto Rico, and service on the I Am Working for the World Foundation and New York Referral Center for Immigration Rights. Ms. Vasquez Simmons has traveled no less than 15 times to Puerto Rico to assist victims of last year's hurricanes. She held an event in December 2017 that fed more than 1,000 children on the island of Vieques. Am I pronouncing that? Vieques. In January, she participated in repairing 3 orphanages and brought Christmas, 3 Kings Day celebration to these children. In July, she organized a group of Puerto Rican boxing legends to repair a home for individuals with terminal illness. Whether in business, boxing, or community service, Mercedes Vasquez Simmons is a leader, placing people first and working to improve their lives. This is why we present the Community Service Award to Ms. Vasquez Simmons, whose mother is accepting the award in her honor, and she's someone I wish I could meet. So on behalf of the Rochester Board of Education and the superintendent, we present the Community Service Awards to Mercedes Vasquez Simmons, October 18th, 2018, for her endless hours and commitment to serve our families and community.
Gracias.
I love you.
Quiero darle la más expresiva gracias a este comité, que tanto tiempo hace que estamos en ello, Estoy muy orgullosa de mi hija porque ella ha visto la necesidad que hay, por lo más que ella cogió el de eso del boxeo, es porque ella ve la perdición que hay entre tantos jóvenes que se están cogiendo la calle. Y ella prefiere sacar los niños que están en la calle, por eso es que ella se ha decidido hacer esto, la whatever, dueña del boxeo. Ella es una joven muy, muy servicial. La verdad que yo me siento completamente bendecida por una hija tan bella y tan servidora y tan amante de la comunidad y tanto celo que tiene de la comunidad. Yo sé que yo he sido bendecida por ella y ella ha sido bendecida por el que tiene todo el poder, porque a él es al que ella se dedica. Muchas gracias.
So we now have our Commissioner Beatriz Lebron, who will be presenting the I Believe Award presentation to our student, Hiomal Cruz, and the teacher, Esther Glowinski. Can you please come forward? And if your family's here, please come forward. We are running a little late. We still have to acknowledge all of our high academic achievement awards scholars, so please.
Okay, so there's no script written for me on Giomar, but I want to acknowledge why he's here today and why he's receiving the I Believe Award. And he didn't know he was going to get it either. This probably came as a surprise to him. So I found out about this young man and his outstanding academic achievement this year. So I'll read what it says here, and then I'll give you guys some history. So it's in recognition of being in the top 6th grade student in the New York State in the international acclaimed First in Math program. So he came in as one of the top. So Giomar and his family, I'm assuming, vinieron de Puerto Rico, ¿verdad? Ellos vinieron de Puerto Rico este año. So this year, they came here as a result from Hurricane Maria. And he was enrolled in one of our schools, School 8? 33. School 33. And he took this exam for the first time and scored top in New York State. Number 1. So this is like a future, we have a future math genius on our hands right here. And so imagine coming not only from a traumatic experience, but coming to a state in a city that you've never been to, in a school district that you've never been to take an exam, our standardized exams that we have to take, and scoring at the very top. And so when I found out about him, I said, we have to acknowledge him on the board. So I wanted to do it when I first found out. So when the scores first came down and we heard about it, everybody was very excited, but we thought it would be more meaningful para darte esto hoy. Yo te lo quería dar antes, pero tenemos que esperar un poquito. And so we're recognizing Giomar Cruz, and he is still a student in our district, so I'm very proud of that, and I hope that you go very far academically, and I believe that you will, and you might be the next Bill Gates, so remember all of us here at the Rochester City School District. So here you go. Thank you. Want to say some words, Jay?
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Para mí, ¿verdad? Es un privilegio, ¿verdad? Dándole primeramente la gloria y las gracias a Dios por la oportunidad, ¿verdad? Que me permite ¿verdad? Tener este reconocimiento, ¿verdad? Por gracia del Señor, ¿verdad? Todo Dios poderoso que todos mis caminos, ¿verdad? Me ha dado la fuerza para pasar cada grado, ¿verdad? Y aún así cuando caigo, Él me levanta, ¿verdad? Y me da las fuerzas para seguir pasando mis exámenes, ¿verdad? Y le doy gracias también a mis padres, ¿verdad? Que siempre me dan el apoyo y me dicen, estudia un poco más para que puedas sacar notas más altas. Y sobre todo, ¿verdad? A esta maestra, Esther Glowinski, que me la encontré en el camino, ¿verdad? Nunca pensé que esto pasaría, ¿verdad? Ya ella verdaderamente fue un impacto para mi vida. Cuando primera vez la vi, ¿verdad? Ella fue un impacto y un apoyo para la vida de mi familia y la mía, ¿verdad? Y ella, ¿verdad? No tengo palabras como describirlo, pero lo doy gracias a Dios y a ustedes, ¿verdad? Que están aquí, pues, reconociendo no solamente a mí, sino a estos, ¿verdad? Estudiantes que han tenido la oportunidad de estar en la Board of Education.
Oh, you got to get in the picture. Okay, now we don't have the drums. Come on, the high scholars. Where's the noise? Come on now, let's give them a little applause here. The feet, something. We are now going to recognize all our high academic achievement scholars who have maintained a 4.0 and above. School 58, World of Inquiry. I'm going to call your name. Please come forward. Judith Lenning. Luis Lopez. Juleika Roche. Are there any of them here? If not, are the principals here? Teachers? If not, we will make sure we mail them. East High School. Alicia Alguenzoni. Dayanera Flores. Wilson Rivera. You give them. You give them. Okay, we're going to try to get sigue por ahí para que ellos pueden y tomar un. Okay. Edison Career and Technology, Genesis Colon, who's not here, and we don't have a staff person here from Edison. Do we have anyone here from Edison? We will make sure we mail it. Integrated Arts and Technology, Nayeles Azul. How do you pronounce it?
Najelis Arzuaga.
Alzualga. Brian Ortiz Soto. Is that right?
Please remember. He's registered,
Okay.
but he goes here.
So he's registered, Brian Ortiz Soto, at Integrated Arts and Technology, but he's really attending the Bilingual Literacy Academy. Bienvenidos. Okay. Estamos tan calladitos. Dios mío, yo no estoy acostumbrada de... ¿Dónde está la gente? Yo sé que nosotros estamos haciendo esto con prisa, pero porque ya tú sabes que si yo lo termino a las 6:30 me van a hacer así, clic. James Monroe High School, Sebastián González, Natalia Medina, Jererín Navares, Yariles Nogales Porro, Christian Ramos. Please come forward, family, staff. Así mismito, Tenemos que darle el cariño a nuestros estudiantes. Yes. Northeast College Prep High School at Douglas, Carla Alguere Jasmine Riley. Staff, parents, family, please come forward. School of the Arts, Juliana Bermúdez, Jurenius Burgos, Joshua Cotto, Maria Angelis González, Julia Mica, Vivian Naranjo, Angélica Otero, Douglas Rodriguez. Angélica. If staff is here from School of the Arts, please come. All right, thank you, thank you. Ahora, vamos a dar el apoyo. Eso vale, estamos muy calladitos. ¿Qué pasa con la gente de nosotros? School Without Walls, Jocelyn Vasquez, are you here? Please come forward, School Without Walls. And Vanguard Collegiate High School, Ángel de Jesus. I don't think, okay, he's here. Is your family here? Tell them to come and join you. ¿Dónde está la familia? The staff from Vanguard. I'm going to ask all the high scholars to please come forward one more time with your certificate, and we're going to take one group picture, please. Sí, que vienen ahora mismo, please. Everybody come forward, all the high scholars, and we're going to line up to have a group picture. I'm going to ask the commissioners to stay in this picture along with the superintendents, please. Just be creative. Tom is going to coordinate shorter people in the front, mid-size, tall in the back. You want to make sure you can see him. Commissioners, please come forward. Congratulations to all our high scholars. Let's give them another round of applause. A los padres, the family. I just want to share really quick before we close. We have here a visitor from RIT. His name is Mr. David Benitez, and he is going to meet with any of the students and parents right outside that hallway to talk more about RIT and the scholarship that they will provide if you continue maintaining your GPA. So my advice for you is take advantage. Para los padres y los estudiantes, tenemos una representación del RIT. Se llama David Benitez. David, where are you? Raise your hand. Y él quiere hablar con los estudiantes sobre RIT. Y él va a estar allá afuera. Por favor, toma el tiempo. This is an opportunity. You want to take advantage. You're doing the right thing. We're very, very proud of you. Que Dios te bendiga. And we're going to close with remarks from our commissioner, Beatriz Lebron, for special acknowledgement, and I will let her take it from here.
Thank you. I won't keep you guys long, I promise. I'm going to rush through this. So our special acknowledgement goes out to a pioneer, which is Helda Rosario Escher. She is the president and CEO of Ibero, but also a pioneer for Latinos and Latino rights in the Rochester community. Hilda, I presented Hilda on behalf of the board yesterday at the 50th anniversary of Ibero's luncheon, and so I presented her the award. So she had to leave. She was trying to stay as long as she could, but she's on a very tight schedule tonight. But I just wanted to acknowledge that we acknowledged her for her leadership, and although this is her last year as president and CEO, we do anticipate that she's going to be still very much so a part of this community, and that she will continue fighting for Latinos and Latino rights, and it will just be in a different capacity. So I want to acknowledge that, and I also want to ask that we support her in her next adventures in life as a fighter for Latinos. A special thanks as well to School 20, to Corey Reimer, School 25, Libby Trash, School 39, Jennifer Woods, School 42, Amy Graham, for their art display. And then also, I have lots of thanks for our folks. So let me thank the Board of Education. So I'll start with Van White, our president, vice president Willa Powell, Commissioner Cynthia Elliott, Melanie Funches, Elizabeth Hallmark, Natalie Shepard, our superintendent Barbara Dean Williams, our student representative, which is Malik Hafi. And also, special thanks to the Hispanic Heritage Committee, Nidia Padilla Rodriguez, which let me just say, she is the chair, but also another pioneer in our community. So I would like to all of us give her a round of applause. I'm going to get the committee. But if it was not for people like Hilda, Lewis, Beling, Father Tracy, I mean, they have been fighting for Latinos and Latino rights and education in this community more than I've been alive. And so I just want to thank you guys sincerely. So Wanda Padresa Santos is the co-chair from the Office of School Chiefs. Alma? Can you guys rise? Aloma Cazón? Kaysen. María Encasaron? Encarnación. Ay, Dios mío, estos nombres. Deborah Flanagan from the Board of Education. Shelley Fowler. Ricky Frazier. Ricky, where you at? Ricky left? Ricky left. Carlos Garcia. Raise your hand. Oh, there's Ricky. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Carlos. Shanae Lee. Shanae's not here yet. She's downstairs doing some work for us. Rhonda Kirkland from the Office of Operations. Tom Mohan. Abel, where you at? Abel. Oh, amor, Abel, our Director of Bilingual Services. Abel Perez. Oh, he's helping our student do an interview on Channel 9, guys. Dominic Pickard. Where's Dominic here? From Arts and Music. Alexi Reyes. Yo la vi, ¿dónde tú estás, Alexi? ¿Tú te fuiste? Oh, míralo aquí. Gracias. Elizabeth Reyes. Mírala ahí, Elizabeth. Gracias. Desiree Rodriguez. Where you at, Desi? There's Desi, guys. Nidia. Salteras. Salteres, perdona, mija. Where you at? ¿Tú estás aquí? Gracias, mija, gracias. They also made sure the chicken was good for all of us to eat, so thank you guys for that. Francine Scott and Mercedes. Mercedes, I will not try to pronounce your last name, but I know you're somewhere in here, so thank you very much. How do you say it? Exactly. It's written in the program. It is very difficult. So, Yulashaski. We're not even going to try to play ourselves anymore on this. So, so on behalf of the board and administration and all of the staff at the Rochester City School District, thank you all for coming out tonight and celebrating our students and our awardees. And have a great night. And please stick around for the board meeting. We got a big one today. Están enfogonados conmigo. Yo estoy así.
What do you think? Francine is, I don't know what happened with Francine, but she's it's bad.
Yo, no.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started in a few minutes, so you might want to finish getting the rest of your food. And you don't have to run up, Beatrice.
No, I was like, I know, man, I will be here.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, today is October the 18th. It is now about 6 6:40 it looks like. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. And I'm convening this meeting of the Board of Education. It's our monthly business meeting. Let me just say as a preliminary matter, good evening, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the food. I apologize, I couldn't have been here. I had a client emergency. I had to travel out to Buffalo. I think I probably violated a few vehicle and traffic laws, but we won't tell anybody that. Trying to get back here on time, and I made it. So I thank God for that. I also want to tell you, in the event that there is an emergency within this building, the fire marshal obligates me to inform you that there are exit signs, and should there be an emergency, and I don't imagine there would be, you should proceed through those exit signs. The elevators, as our top-notch security personnel will tell you, in the event of emergency, are not likely to be operating, so you should proceed very cautiously and carefully down the stairs. And for anybody else, as this meeting proceeds, I want you to know that you should feel free to go to the bathroom, leave this area if you need to. And we ask that you do that. If you have to leave to go to the bathroom or you want to have a conversation, we ask that you do that outside in the hallway so that we could proceed efficiently here. We are going to, in a few minutes, invite speakers to the microphone over here. We only have one. But I would just say, as we always do, we ask that you, whether we have one speaker or 15 speakers, we ask that you keep to the time limit offered by the clerk, and you'll know what time you have left because this very obnoxious buzzer will go off, and it will tell you that your time is up. And I would appreciate it if you completed your remarks within that time period. I'm sure other matters will come up, but we'll deal with them at that time. So the first matter of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and you know how I do things. I ask a young person to lead us in the pledge, and I see a pretty young lady over there. Well, there's several of them. In that third row, yeah, you. She knows I'm talking about her already. Yeah, you. Yep. Can you help us, young lady? Let's give her a round of applause. We ask you to come forward here. If you will see that microphone over there, young lady, if you'll tell us your name, where you go to school, and we're going to ask that you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. What's your name?
Nija.
Nija, okay. And where you go to school?
Rockport Crossings. I don't really know the name of my school.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Well, what's your favorite subject?
Reading.
Reading. All right. I like that. Let's give her a round of applause. That's a good subject. That's an excellent subject. Now, listen, we need a little help. We're all going to stand and we're going to follow you in the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to say it along with you, though, okay?
Okay.
Our flag is over here, right over there. And you start and we'll follow you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's give her a round of applause. I have a little button for you there. It's all the good things that you should believe in. All right? All right. God bless. Take care. Thanks a lot. Another round of applause for you. Thank you. All right. Next thing in our agenda here is we have to approve the minutes. I have some minutes from September the 25th, October the 15th, which was a special meeting, October the 17th, which was a charter school hearing. Can I get a motion to approve those various minutes? Been moved by Vice President Powell, seconded by Commissioner Funchess. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Next, we're going to give the microphone over to our one speaker today, Angelica Bermudez. Angelica? Oh, yes, I'm sorry, right over here.
Hi, my name is Angelica Bermudez. I'm just here to speak about an issue that I'm having. I don't know when the buzzer starts, but... Oh, okay. I received a phone call regarding my son almost being jumped by 5 to 7 kids. I went to the school and I wanted to speak to the teacher and the children. I spoke to the teacher and the teacher kept telling me that there was more to the story. So I took my son home and I asked to get a meeting with the teacher and the city school and the officials and maybe the children's, a mediation with the children's parents to get to the bottom of this. It was too early in the school year for this. So we get there on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and I'm greeted by a whole different teacher. He has no idea what's going on. Long story short, we decide to come back to another meeting the next day. I don't leave my kid there again. They're telling me to leave him, but he was almost jumped by 7 kids. I go ahead and I take my son back home. We come back. I come back to speak to Dr. Lampe, and I tell him straight, I want either the child suspended, a mediation with all the parents so we can get to the bottom of this, or I'm going to press charges. My son was assaulted. So they tell me that because they couldn't contact the parents, there was nothing we couldn't do. We couldn't do a meeting. We couldn't suspend. We couldn't do ISS. I understand the No Child Left Behind Act, and I totally understand it. But what else was I supposed to do? So he offered either to send my kid with an officiant to each class or to get him transferred. I filled out the safety transfer, and I took my son. 3 weeks later, we get our acceptance for the transfer. We find out that it was not deemed a safety transfer. It was deemed a voluntary transfer. I seen emails between Dr. Lampe and Dr. Capizzuto saying that the child has to own up to what he did. I'm a great mother. My son is my best friend. He doesn't lie to me. So I knew what happened, so I didn't understand what was the truth. My son told me he didn't know these kids. He had no idea what's happening. He was afraid. 7 kids. He's 1 kid. So again, I told them that I wanted to transfer my son. They told me that it was not going to be it wasn't going to be deemed a voluntary transfer. Basically, I've heard numerous people telling me that these kids been assaulted in this school, been jumped, been sexually assaulted, and nothing gets done. They don't get suspended, nothing gets done. The kids have to go back and see these children who assaulted them every single day. If my son would have been there, he would have had to look in the face of the kids who almost assaulted him. So I didn't want that. So Dr. Capizzuto said that basically they were saying that we were lying about the situation. What I want today is I want to deem the safety transfer. My son was scared. He's still scared. He won't go there. He seen the kid at the store, and he looked away. You know, that is not okay. I didn't want him to be suspended. I didn't want it to be a big deal. I just wanted to be reprimanded for the kids to know that this is not okay. You don't go jump a kid, and then there's nothing done for this kid. You know, Mrs. Brown, Dr. Lampe, the leadership, officiants, they're there for what? They're covering something up. They don't want to deem the safety transfer. Why? This is clearly a safety issue. Am I not right? So what are we doing for the kids? They're not there for the kids. They're there to save their own butts. My son, clearly it was a safety issue. Why wasn't it deemed a safety transfer?
What will happen is folks who've watched us before know that we don't engage in direct conversation. However, there's staff members, the superintendent, my colleague here is asking me what school. We don't want you to tell us publicly, but Superintendent, could you identify somebody who she could speak to? Amy, see that young lady raising her hand?
Hi.
What?
Okay.
No, we're talking about a student. Okay, well, that's good. Why don't you go speak to Amy Shavi, and then one of our commissioners. Yep, God bless. We'll get it addressed. All right. It's going to be a very lengthy night, and I want to say to my colleagues that we have a very heavy agenda here at the dais, but we also have one in executive session. But there's some really important stuff we have to accomplish. So first thing I want to tell folks is please be brief, but we realize that there are some things that we can't be brief about. I'm going to begin with a very important task, not part of my president's report, but part of what I'm sure the board wanted to do, which is to recognize a very special group. Sean, do you mind if I move this just for a second? Because it's got your thing on it. Is that yours? Oh, okay. I just saw your presentation. As many of you may know, we the Board of Education convened a school climate advisory committee. It was formed in September of 2017 by the Board of Education to study district processes, data, supports for students and families in schools, implementation of restorative practices, as an alternative approach to student discipline. These discussions and meetings took place over the last year. This committee was wise enough to form subcommittees to analyze data, policies, and procedures in an in-depth way and to evaluate options for improvement. The committee's recommendations were presented to the board last month and currently are under review by the administration. I would note that we traditionally in the past have taken these, anybody who knows the fact that we've convened special advisory committees in the past, we've traditionally referred them to our committees. We tried something a little bit different as a result of Dr. Aquino's suggestion. We referred this right to the administration for their review. They are going to, they have until, is it November? November 30th, thank you, Kalia, to come up with your reviews and recommendations. And at that time, the Board of Education will determine which of those recommendations, based on the superintendent's review of those options, we should go with. But technicalities aside and history aside, I really want to take the time to thank the folks who took their time and I think produced an amazing document. A number of folks have had the opportunity, including my colleagues, to take a look at it. It can really show you what can happen when a community gets together. I've often said, this is not a place where Superman is going to swoop in. I steal the line from the movie Waiting for Superman. We are not waiting for Superman. We don't want Superman in our district because Superman, Wonder Woman, they can't do it all. We need sort of a Marvel approach that sort of gets us together as sort of an Avengers-style team where a number of people come together. And we're going to see some of that tonight. But the first example of the different people, the different heroes that come to our table came as a part of the Special Advisory Committee on School Climate. So I want to recognize some of those heroes. And I'm just going to call out their names. Chuck Allen, we'd ask that you come on up and save your applause to the end. We're going to give them a big thunderous round of applause when they all get up here. Chuck Allen, who is a co-chair, Rosemary Rivera, Kalia Wade, our own Kalia Wade, Mary Adams, our former school board member, Ricardo Adams, come on up, Ricardo, Jennifer Bannister, Shalinda, and I apologize for mispronouncing names, Shalinda Bowler, Jackie Campbell, Anna Casserly, Christiana Dandino, Shalonda Garfield, GC as we call him, I didn't see him here, Cynthia Harriet, Jacarl Hill, Akul Kankam.
Akul Kankam.
Akul Kankam, thank you very much. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Ravi Mangala, somebody want to help me with that? Did I get that right? Mercedes Mike, Idonia Owens, Gladys Pedraza Burgos, Denise Kwamina. Kwamina, thank you. You want to come up here and just give me the... She usually does that when I'm sitting up there and nobody really knows. She whispers in my ear. Joshana Rahman. Right there, I'm right there. Thank you. Here we go. Shantara, here, keep on going here.
Shantara Randall.
Angie Rivera, I could do that. Angie Rivera. That's right. Come on up, Angie. Lydia Rodriguez, Ruth Turner, Lorna Washington. Here, come on. I want to make sure I got this first name right.
Rahima.
Rahima Wynn. Please join me on behalf of the Board of Education in giving them a thunderous round of applause. These are truly the heroes of our district. And again, let me emphasize, this model, this approach that would have the community come together and give this district some direction and guidance is the approach of this Board of Education. And we do believe that not from central office, but from the community, people outside this building, that we will experience significant change. And by the way, we're already seeing the fruits of their labor. Suspensions, out-of-school suspensions have gone down dramatically. So I think they deserve an even more thunderous round of applause for that.
So first of all, we do want to thank the board for the recognition and also the opportunity to work with you all, and are excited that you're taking a look and a close look at what we put together.
Hi, my name is Shalinda. I'm from Teen Empowerment. I just want to say, again, thank you guys for being, behind us and supporting us through everything that we've been doing. We've been working on this for about a year now, and just like the lady that just spoke, we do this work so that we won't have to face things like this, right? Or we know how to address it when it comes. So again, just thank you, because the ultimate goal is to improve school climate and relationships between teachers, more culturally relevant curriculum and things like that. So thank you.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have the reports from our student leader, Parent Advisory Council, and Bilingual Council again, and then that will be followed by committee reports and the board president report. Again, I would remind you all, inform some of you all, we have a very extensive agenda tonight. Much of it is in executive session, and I would ask that folks be mindful of that and be as brief but as comprehensive as possible. Yes.
So on the agenda for the Student Leadership Congress meeting yesterday, we continued the discussion regarding how to recruit students for the SLC, the Rochester City School District Half-Day Student Summits, and how more students should know about their college applications and scholarship opportunities. One idea that we thought of was at my school, School Without Walls, we are starting a school congress. We're going to have 4 representatives, 1 from each grade. For the most part, I believe most schools in the district have something similar to this at their schools right now, and if not, we hope to work to get them started. The twist that we thought of and would like to have is that similar to a regular school congress, the individual students will meet at their schools and talk about whatever it is that is going on at their schools. Schools could then send a couple of their representatives to the SLC meetings. We hope, if successful, we will have an organized and flowing representative from each school in the district in order to involve schools that haven't been a part of our meetings. I spoke to my principal about it, and hopefully she could share this with other principals of the district in order to incorporate this into their schools. The reason that this is very important is because we're supposed to be representing all the students of the district at these board meetings, and as of now, in the last couple years, we only have a few schools present. We also started brainstorming ideas for upcoming RCSD district-wide summits. A few topics that came up were career introduction, which involves exposing students to options in the career and work field at an early age. More freedom during lunch and advisement. This is directed towards education opportunities. Many students are not allowed to leave the lunchroom during lunch, whether they are eating or not. And they said that if during lunch they had access to a library or a room to work in, it would really assist them in their education. During the meeting, we also talked about ways to get students notified about their senior obligations. A few students mentioned at yesterday's meeting that they didn't even know about the Common College application and until a student informed them about it. This led to many students thinking that there should also be some youth-led advisement to remind the students. I also attended my first executive school-based planning team meeting. We talked about how to get more parents and students involved at their schools. In my opinion, which I mentioned at the meeting, I think too much responsibility is being put on the students to notify their parents. Some students wouldn't want their parents involved at their schools as it could be embarrassing, and they could get teased, for it. A solution I thought of is finding maybe a more direct way to get parents involved, as information packets, don't always make it home. Ways to get more students involved is, making them more aware of the opportunity earlier in the year. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jaff. Is it Jaff, right? Yeah. Jaff, okay, all right. Bilingual Council, do we have someone from the Bilingual Council here? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, my name is Elizabeth Estevez. I'm the Vice President of the Bilingual Council. On behalf of the Bilingual Council, we would like to say thank you to the board for allowing us to share some of the activities that the council has been doing. Who we are. The bilingual parents are community-based organizations, educators representing and advocating for the educational rights to a quality bilingual education for our students in the district. During the summer, the Bilingual Council leadership reviewed and updated changes needed for our mission, vision, the bylaws to support the parents, the students, the families, and address areas of concern that needed attention and advocacy. We participated in a teacher training and orientation session for the ESO and the bilingual teachers at school number 33. We also shared information about the Bilingual Council. We asked the teachers to identify parents from their school to also serve on the Bilingual Council. We also met with distinguished educator, Dr. Jaime Aquino, thank you, and talk about the Bilingual Council's experience and engagement with the board, the staff, and others district-related issues. We interview also and forward a candidate for the bilingual director position. We also we welcome and look forward to working with Damaris Salteres. I believe that will be the candidate. And in September, we participated in the ribbon-cutting ceremony at the newly opened Bilingual Language Learners Academy. We are also interested in hearing more about the district communications plans to promote and inform parents, students, and the community about the mission of BELA, which is the Bilingual Language Learners Academy, in which students will be best benefit from attending that academy. We know that the students that have newly arrived need extra help in math, in addition to the language assistance. We need the district to put in place the math support at BELA that the students will need. At our October meeting, we celebrated the Hispanic Heritage Month. We had students like William Delgado at Edison Tech, which he sang. Our students at Edison participated in the, I skipped over here, in a Hispanic Heritage celebration. And we had guest speakers like Commissioner Beatriz Lebron, Wanda Cooper from Hillside Work Scholarship, and Rosa Luciano as guest speaker. The program highlighted our cultural expressions through dance, Hispanic heritage performances, and continue in the evening during the open house. Okay. We also, in our October meeting, we celebrated the Hispanic Heritage Month with our parents as well. Okay. And we look forward to seeing many parents at the Latino Conference on Saturday, October 27th, from 11 to 3 at the 700 North Street, which is the David Gant Center. And this will be an entire day of focusing on parent engagement. We have national speakers from Unidos, and they're going to be talking about Padres Comprometidos curriculum. And we'll hear from a panel of parents who have graduated from the program and are now on their children's school PTA or PTL. And they will be inspired by RCSD students' performances. We will also like to do a special thanks to Maria Encarnacion from the Office of Parent Engagement and Anthony Jordan, also, and also Ibero for providing transportation for this event. Okay, just to remind parents, our monthly meetings are held on the second Tuesday of every month at 5 o'clock at the 700 North Street, the David Gant Center. And that's all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, do we have someone from the Parent Advisory Council? I don't see anybody. No? Did we get a written report? Oh, we did. Okay. All right. Well, there is a written report from the Parent Advisory Council. It's on board docs, and my colleagues can review that at that time. Anybody who wants to see that report can also see it on board docs. All right. That leaves us. That puts us at superintendent reports. Dr. Nelms, you want to go first? I want to welcome the folks from the University of Rochester. I see some familiar faces in here.
All right, good evening, Board.
Good evening.
We will try to be brief per your request. But this is the, usually every year we do a year 3 report or a yearly report on our progress. And we typically have University of Rochester come and they serve as the partner organization to do that. So I brought Dr. Steve Eubing, who is the EPO director, to do this report. And also you all know Lorna Washington, who has done incredible work at East and continues to be the driver behind our community and family engagement, as well as our liaison to the state. So we're going to just go through this report, and we know the board has a deeper analysis of this report. This is an overview for the community to hear and to learn more about. Steve? Step aside, make sure. I'm going to so then advance the slide.
Good evening. How's everybody? So it's been a while since I've addressed the board. Back in 2014, I was a regular guest, and as we were putting this proposal together, it was I'll take you back to the day that I was asked to attend a meeting. My colleague Joanne Larson said, "Come to this meeting, please." And there I met for the first time Van White. East High School was in a desperate situation. It was either going to be closed, it was going to be converted to a charter school, put under the auspices of the State University of New York, or they could find a educational partnership organization that would oversee its work. And after a careful analysis, I said, not us. We don't have the capacity at the University of Rochester to do this work. We don't have the staff. We don't have the HR department, but we could advise, but we can't do it. I'd like to give credit to Joel Seligman, who is our president, and he and Van were incredibly persistent. I would not want to face either one of them as a used car salesman, because it's extraordinarily difficult to say no. And in the end, we undertook this work, and it's the most important work I personally have ever been engaged in my life. I am honored and thankful to the Board of Education, all of you here, and those who preceded you, who enabled this work to happen. We first came in and we said it's a three-legged stool. You need to have the right people, you need to have the right resources, and you need to be doing best practice. And that's what we tried to institute. We took a year with the state. We designed the program. We had the input of faculty, staff, community, and of course our own professor cadre at the University of Rochester. And it's been a work of great joy and passion. There's been ups and downs. Generally, the trajectory has moved forward significantly. I have to recognize our partners in RTA, our partners in ASAR, in Bente, our partners in RAP. I got to recognize my professorial partners. And again, I thank the Board of Education and frankly the central office, Superintendent Dean Williams and Superintendent Vargas's central office team were also instrumental in helping us to be successful. So what we're going to do tonight, and we're going to go as reasonably fast as Van wants us to, is we're going to talk about the reforms and the interventions that we put in place and what impact they've had and the trajectory we see for our students in the future. So we'll start with the interventions around the lower school. One of the first things we did, we broke it into two schools, an upper school and a lower school. When we got there, it was one school with one principal. Now it's two schools with two principals. We put in place academic interventions that impacted all students in the lower schools. And the most important is that our students 6, 7, 8, and 9 receive essentially double periods in literacy and mathematics. And you'll see the impact of that when we go to the next slide. That's an expensive intervention. That's a very expensive but important reform because our kids came to us with extraordinarily low literacy rates and extraordinarily low numeracy performance. And if we could not correct that for the future, we would not anticipate that they'd be successful in high school. If you know about how the state rates these things, level 1 students are not making good progress towards high school graduation, and the vast majority of our kids are on level 1. And we'll see those numbers in a second. In our literacy approach, our students receive a regular period of ELA where they get Common Core literacy, they get the same kinds of materials that students get in any public school district in New York State, but they have another period where they get reading instruction. And we have 11 literacy teachers at East. And that's a lot for a secondary school, but that's, I want to emphasize, East was not just an urban school. Urban schools are more expensive than suburban schools, period. I ran a suburban school for 15 years. Urban schools, by their nature, are going to be much more expensive. Suburban schools generally don't have to have large staffs for English language learners. They may not have any bilingual staff. I had one security guard at Canandaigua for the 18 years I was there. That's 18 years in the suburban school. I understand those budgets and the cost very, very clearly, but the kinds of supports our kids need, and really They flourish when they have these supports. So the emphasis I want to put on is our kids have demonstrated just how smart and capable they are when they have the right level of support. They have come through for themselves and for us, and we're very proud of them. So number one, every student is, I think, is a civil rights issue, is entitled to a highly developed, viable curriculum that's culturally relevant. And we put an enormous amount of emphasis on curriculum development at East. And everything we have, by the way, we own nothing. Everything we have, you own, okay? Everything we produce belongs to the Rochester City School District. It's open source documentation. Susan Meyer sitting right there, and Mary Rapp, and others, our teachers, have done incredible work building a curriculum that should stand the test of time. But curriculum can't be like the sand sculpture of the Buddhists. It can't just be swept away. It has to be worked on constantly. It's not put in place once and never has to be looked at again. It's something that needs constant revival and upkeep and a lot of nourishment and love. So let's talk about some of the academic results we're seeing. The lower school has met all the New York State demonstrable indicators. 58.3% of 8th grade scholars earned one or more credits during the 8th grade, high school credits. 22.4% passed the math regents in 8th grade, and 43.6% passed the regents in a language other than English. And if you look at the trajectories here, our baseline year is 2014-15. That was the year before we entered as the supervisory group. Here we had 87% of the kids at level 1 not making progress towards graduation. That number is now 59%, and within level 1, kids have moved to the upper part of level 1 as we look at their actual results. More importantly, 30% of our kids are now at the basic level, which is making progress towards graduation but not yet proficient. 9% are proficient and 2% are highly proficient. That's 41% partially or completely proficient in ELA. And we're going to give you some other looks at ELA. Sean will go over that in a second. So this is the right direction. And later when I show you high school graduation results, I want you to recognize that our high school kids who graduated 60.7% this year are not indicated at 59%. They're indicated at close to the 70% or 87% level 1 when they were in the middle school, when they were in the lower school. You'll see that in a second. You all have copies of this. Mathematics is similar. We have more kids in mathematics doing very well. Right now, 18% of our kids are proficient. And proficient, by the way, is a high level of performance. Don't think proficient is just making the grade. Proficient means a B+, A- average. Diane Ravitch talks about this in her book. Basic is moving in the right direction, not yet ready to be college career ready, but moving towards that. 18% of our kids are there. We still have about 2/3 of the kids who haven't made the mark in mathematics, but was clearly making progress from the 84% that they were in 2012-13. That's a 20% improvement. Let's talk about the 9th grade. We looked carefully at the results of the University of Chicago study on the impact of 9th grade in a student's future. 9th grade is a totally different animal. You have to understand it's the first time that kids have to pass the class in order to progress. In lower school, in middle school, you can move from 7th to 8th grade without having passed every class. But if you don't pass algebra, you don't get to geometry. Okay? You don't get to move on until you pass each class. It's unit of credit, not just unit of study. And they're facing Regents examinations. Our 9th graders take, those who haven't taken it in 8th grade take the algebra Regents and the science Regents. There is no, if you don't get at least a 65, you don't move on. So it's a different experience for kids. And what we found is at East, the history was half of the kids, before we started this project, finished 9th grade having passed 0 Regents and having accumulated very few credits or no credits. The number of kids who didn't go from 9th to 10th grade was astounding. So we put a lot of resources in 9th grade, and we had some great school leaders. 9th grade has its own administrator, has its own social worker and counselor, their own wing in the building. The kids receive extra support. All of our kids every single day receive something called support period, in which they have targeted interventions that are provided to them by trained, certified teachers based on the data that we're able to glean from their previous work. It's not accidental, it's very intentional. This isn't just about getting really good teachers into the building, but it's using a system of instruction that's based on actual student work and formative assessments to improve their work the next time they go about it. So it's very intentional, and our kids have benefited. They've worked extremely hard, and our teachers have worked extremely hard to make these systems work. And I got to give credit for the support room concept to Sue Meyer, who developed that and brought it to our school. Sean just said you got 20 more slides. That's another way of saying get moving. So prior to the EPO, we only had 26.5% passing algebra. Currently, last year we had 55.1% of the freshmen pass algebra. That's up from 26.5% in the benchmark year. 47.3% passed science, up from 30% in the benchmark year. Let's see what this means as we move along. I'm going to actually have Sean present this next one because he did this slide.
So this slide, next slide here is just to go over the diagnostic reading inventory. One of the things that we were asked, we talked about our first year EPO, is to make sure we track the progress and kind of know that impact. Think about Jihadi's work. Our first year, we did our initial inventory of the kids who were entering grades 6 and 7, so about 156 kids that year. And what the slide on the left says is, of that 156, 122 entered at level 1. 24 enter level 2, 3 at level 9, and 4 at level 1. These are the same kids who are now our freshmen and sophomores on the right side of the chart. And you'll see that there are less level 1 kids. So that at one point it was nearly 78% of our students, it's now 35%. And you'll see the progression of those kids moving into levels 2, 3, and 4. And there was no regression for kids who entered levels 2, 3, and 4. They all made progress. Even within level 1, the students had about a 300 Lexile jump, and the national average is about 100. So those kids tripled the national growth, those kids within level 1. And this is just a quick slide to illustrate what the Lexile levels look like. They dictate where kids are in their reading level. So for an 8th grader who is advanced, their Lexile level would be above 1,260. And so we are looking at not just students on grade level, but making sure we understand that that levels 2, 3, and 4 are critical, and now you see the vast majority of those kids in 9th and 10th grade on level. That translates into less support and reading support at the older levels. It's a very vocab-rich assessment, which gives them the best shot of doing well on the SATs and PSATs in the future. So it's really looking at getting them truly college or career ready based on their Lexile levels and their reading level. And we continue to track kids and their reading levels across those years. And we accredit it to the number of reading teachers and literacy teachers and the support structure that we have for students who are academically behind or kids who have been undertaught. Our greatest challenge is how do we get to a point where we don't have 122 kids entering below grade level coming into a grade level, into a year. Yep.
So I just would repeat, that's a direct result of the reform of a full period of ELA and a full period of literacy for each 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grader. It didn't happen by accident, didn't happen because we taught better or faster or louder, but we focused on literacy and mathematics in those grades. And you see the reforms have actually resulted in a higher level of student achievement. At the upper school, the focus has been on increasing the graduation rate. Our counselors, we have a great principal, we have a great lower school principal. We also focus on improving student life, inclusive of culture, climate, and family community engagement. Lorna will talk about some of that. We restructured the school counseling and social work, and we developed a viable curriculum, again, that we talked about earlier. So we were really pleased that the 4-year graduation rate for this year hit 60%. When Sean got there, he doesn't talk about this, but he first did an analysis of what the projected graduation rate was going to be for 2015. And based on every single kid and their projection to graduate, he projected a 19% graduation rate. Now, we went into crisis mode, and we were able to move that. We actually had 40.1%, I think. But the movement to 60%, and we hope a further movement as we go along, is a function of changes we made in the structure of the upper school in counseling, focus on what we're doing with kids in small family groups, and what we're doing in terms of making sure every student's in the right program and getting the right support they need. So We started 33.3% in 2011. Right now, 60.6% last year. But if you look at the dropout rates in our current junior class, right? Kids entering junior class in 2016, we're entering with a 2.5% dropout rate. And last year we entered with a 12.9% dropout rate. In other words, those kids are already gone. And the year before, 17.8% dropout rate. And the reduction in the dropout rate, that doesn't mean all those kids are going to graduate. But we do know that once they drop out, they're not going to graduate, despite the fact that we have a great relationship with Freedom School, and we've been able to recapture some of the lives of those kids who do, in fact, drop out. We'll talk about why I think the dropout rate has gone down and why suspension's gone down. We talk about the issues of student life. But this is an interesting analysis here. If you look at the FAR 1 2015, right next to it is 2014. 2014, that's the entry class in 9th grade, okay? 2014 was last year's graduating class at 60.6%. As they entered senior year, 56.25% had passed the math regents. This year's class, in entering senior year, 70.45% has already passed the math regents. And now they'll continue to take the math regents. We have some kids who take it many times. But we work with kids with targeted interventions and try to move them forward. Science, 49 to 56. ELA is stunning. 35.58% of last year's graduating class had passed the ELA regents as they entered senior year, and we still had a 60% graduation rate. This year, 55% have already passed that. Social studies is not truly a gateway regents because there are other alternatives to get around the social studies, and that's always been a stickler for our kids, and we continue to work on that. So does that portend a higher graduation rate? Very possibly. We don't predict graduation rates in October, but we're optimistic that we'll continue to see a positive trajectory there. Student life, boy, you know, when I first walked through the building in 2014, it was a very interesting place, and the approach to dealing with students who were misbehaving was to kick them out. When in doubt, kick them out. There were 2,468 recorded suspensions. We were told by the security guards that there were hundreds others that were never recorded. I have no way to prove that, but that's been told to me by several people. Last year, we had 369 suspensions. Of those, only 43 involved taking the kid out of the program, either out of school or in an alternate program. 326 were in school suspensions. And I credit several things for the reduction in suspensions. One is, you know, the resources you provided to this program have allowed us to really implement restorative practice school-wide. Every single person in that building, every teacher, every aide, every security guard, every clerical worker, every administrator, every counselor, every social worker has gone through restorative practice training and practices it every single day. We have 7 social workers in that building. And those 7 social workers run the restorative practice initiative very, very effectively, and that cuts things off. That stops things from growing. It takes conflict and it puts an incubator on it, and it lets us to solve it. And you know, if you walk through our building today, I walked through today, it's a very calm place. I've done research all over Monroe County, and I always ask the kids, do you feel safe in school? And based on our survey data, our kids feel just as safe as they do in the suburbs. You know, and we really want to create the right place where scholars can actually focus on their studies and their achievement. Our biggest challenge is still attendance. This is improved, but you notice we have this ongoing number of kids who drop out. I think that's predicted by the kids who aren't coming. And so it used to be higher. We have all kinds of things we do to try to mitigate the attendance issue, but we continue to work on it, but it's still the biggest problem I think we have. I'm going to turn it over to Lorna, who's going to talk about student life, and we also have Joanne in the audience who's helped in that process.
Thanks, Dave.
And I'm going to be very quick because I know we're over on our time. So I just want to come and talk to you a little bit about our Family and Community Engagement Initiative at East and talk about how we've actually, we're beginning to see the needle move in having some parents be more involved and more engaged consistently. Thank you to Joanne Larson and Angel Alicea, as well as Jason Taylor, and most importantly, our parents who have been very instrumental in us being able to move this work forward. So when we actually got to East, when the EPO first was started with the University of Rochester, when the partnership began, there was really only one parent who was consistently involved and engaged if you track that by how often they attended events. So we are very excited about seeing that our parent engagement numbers have really increased. I actually was late for this meeting tonight because we had a family and community engagement meeting where our parents who had attended a conference, the Parent Engagement Conference in July, actually presented to the whole committee and shared what they learned and then shared some ideas for moving forward on how we can better engage our parents. And that meeting that I just left, just as an example of how we're continuing to see growth, we not only had parents there in attendance, but we also had students there. Our teachers and administrators, of course, were there, and community partners, but we're continuing to see that grow and staying that way on a consistent basis. When we talk about the face ecology, one of the things that we are seeing is that when we first got to East, there was this deficit model where we would see that parents were almost tolerated. I hate to say that, but we had to really change that way of thinking to say that parents are truly partners in this, and the success that we're beginning to see at East, I really don't think it would be possible if it were not for the parents being more engaged and more instrumental in not only coming to events, which is just the event-based piece of it, but also having that relationship-based engagement and being at the table. So they're actually a part of our, like I said, our family and community engagement team, as well as our governance council. So they really have a seat at the table and they're making decisions right along with us. When we talk about the event attendance, I shared earlier that we are seeing growth, but this slide really illustrates what I'm talking about. If you look at the last 3 years, East has really increased the parental engagement. And if you look, I'm really excited about the fact that this year we're already at 58% of our parents for lower school and 28% of our parents for upper school attending at least one event. Of course, we're trying to make it so it's not always based on just attendance, but if you look at the last 2 years, we're already at the point or almost surpassing where we have been for the last 3 years, and it's only October. So we're really enthusiastic about the changes that are taking place, and we're looking forward to what's going to come in the future.
And I'll just wrap by saying, the plans for our future are pretty straightforward. It's to continue the work. As we've done each of the last 3 years, we have returned a considerable amount of funds to the district and looking for more ways to be cost efficient, but it has to embrace a turnaround strategy. What I often said, and I was reminded by Steve, is East was not a failing school. East was a school that had already failed and had to be turned around. It's two different models. And so we were really trying to take a school that was on the brink of closure, and those resources to turn that around so that it becomes one in good standing is much different than if you compare it to a school that's just not doing well, and focusing on how you change that. We're going to continue to focus on academic interventions, particularly at grades 6 through 9. There's a continued emphasis on our school counselors. They have done an amazing job in transforming their thinking and how they, and their activity and actions for tracking our students and supporting them along the way and challenging them and also informing their parents. We're going to offer additional learning opportunities outside of the traditional classroom. You have approved those things in the past. If there's summer academies or night academies, on the weekends, our students continue to show up and do those things. And last but not least, this is a time, and I think Van says it best, to incubate and then share, is to really start to extend and expand the practices across many schools. And these are just a list of some of the schools we've already partnered with who are interested in the work we're doing. Our sort of practice has been very popular in Greece. We're going to speak with BOCES, which is down near Fredonia area soon. The New York State Bar Association has been interested in restorative practice work and changing how policy around school suspensions works, and that's been done with some attorneys throughout Albany. UB now has a receivership school in Build Academy, and we helped them structure that and gave them all of our documents. Penfield Central School District, Ithaca, Uncommon Schools here locally, and then Cleveland Schools came and spent a few days with us as well. So the word is getting out about the project, and I want to just thank the board for being pioneers in this. It was a very courageous action to approve this, knowing that it would cost more, but also understanding that the standard shouldn't be the cost. The standard should be what it costs to actually give our kids a viable education. And so I do truly appreciate that. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you all. Are there any questions or comments, Vice President Powell?
Yes, thank you. Our student representative couldn't stay. He's traveling. But we both noted that there are no students from East High at Student Leadership Congress last night. Can you talk just a little bit about the civics activities for students of student government at the class level and at the school level?
Yeah, so I would say, I'm not certain why they weren't there, if they're even aware of those meetings. I'll look into that, Willa. But I would say at East, it's very robust. We have a number of organizations. We just partnered with one organization around getting our young ladies to be more active in civic leadership. That's one of our newest partnerships. It's something that happens in some other schools in the area. They're involved, they have been to Albany, they've done lobbying already. So yeah, the civic action is pretty robust there, and they're community oriented. We get a lot of support from individuals. We actually met David K. Johnson, who was a Pulitzer Prize winner and writer from the area. He met with our English and civics classes last week, and they're going to start to enhance their our school newspaper, and they have them write more relevant topics. And yeah, it's been pretty robust.
Any other questions or comments? Again, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, Barbara?
Okay.
Barbara, if I could
Sure.
interrupt just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they offered the report, and I know these folks are much more sophisticated in this, but sometimes the word thank you doesn't really convey the appreciation that we feel, and the board says that often and frequently to a lot of different folks who are here more regularly. But for you folks that don't come here a lot, that thank you means a lot. I mean, I don't want you to get the impression we're moving on to the next superintendent's report. We do appreciate the work that you do, and I didn't want you to think, oh, next item on the agenda. You're a very important part of this agenda, as is everybody. And so when we say thank you to you and then move on, we want you to know we really mean thank you. Barbara?
And I want to extend an appreciation as well to Superintendent Nelms and his team. I know that we have benefited from watching some of the innovation that you have been able to achieve, especially in the area of curriculum. I know that our team was excited to see the platform and to understand how we could add to that and use that as we try to replicate some of that great practice with your schedule. In particular, noting being very persistent and intentional about literacy at the secondary level, actually scheduling the time to do the Tier 1 curriculum, but also scheduling very intentionally and supporting the need to remediate students that need to be built back up. So it's very helpful to see it in that format, because I think it really does describe what we need to do when we see students that have to make significant leaps in their achievement when they enter a secondary school. So we thank you for that. I also want to thank everyone for coming and celebrating the rich heritage and culture of our Hispanic and Latino community. It's an honor, again, to have the ability to meet parents and speak with students who are achieving significant accomplishments in our schools. I also want to thank our community partners, in particular Rock the Future. They have been very instrumental and helpful with all of their cans. Deputy Superintendent Beth Mesiti-Miller and other key conveners from across the county and the community have been working, as you know, very hard to replicate the community schools model that we see initiated at 17. Mayor Lovely Warren and I attended a committee meeting earlier this month. We engaged in discussions around developing a common understanding of a collaborative leadership structure for community schools, the historical context of the schools in our city, and standards for these schools, as well as next steps. So we will be doing a deeper dive into the collaborative community schools leadership structure. And I want to thank all of our partners who have been meeting over the past 2 years to develop these understanding of these integral roles and how this sharing of resources between the district and the city will continue to occur. Also, our Executive School-Based Planning Steering Committee met on Wednesday, October 3rd. This team consists, as you know, of our parent committee presidents, union presidents, school chiefs, deputies, Office of Parent Engagement, and our new Board of Education student representative, Malik Jeff. He was actually, he hadn't left. He was extremely helpful. We've updated our school-based planning team manual and handbook. They're located on the website, and all of our Title I school-based planning documents. Each of the board members tonight has a bag and some things in it, but in that bag for each of you is a book called Fundamentals of Education. This is the book that the Executive School-Based Planning team is reading together and using as a basis to looking at some of the invitational nature of our schools. And there is a training session scheduled for December, so we will get more information to you for that. We had an individual school that was having some difficulty in the school-based planning team process. They came and were able to share with the district team, and we were able to get an agreement that we would send a district team out to the school to observe the school-based planning team sessions, and our student representative agreed to assist to work with the students at that particular school. So it's great to see that kind of collaboration between the district team and the school teams itself. As you know, we have an attendance team. They're working very, very hard with families to improve attendance. And to date, 71% of our students have 90% attendance or better. We have 22 centralized attendance homeschool assistants making phone calls and home visits every day. We are looking to re-engage students. We're out looking still for students to re-engage them. And during our attendance blitz, there were 163 home visits made by our volunteers, and we had another 200 families visited this week in their homes. So I want to really thank Betsy Hoffer and that entire team for the incredible work that they're doing. As most of you know, we have been celebrating the school openings, 5 new schools as part of the Rochester School Modernization Program. The 2 most recent schools were 7 in the Maplewood neighborhood, where some of our students' parents and grandparents walk the same hallways in the School Without Walls. That's a school with a history dating back to 1968. These schools, as you know, are part of the Facilities Modernization Program, and the opening is nothing short of phenomenal. We also had a great celebration at the renaming ceremony of School 12 to the Anna Murray Douglas Academy School on South Avenue. One of our city's most historic icons is Frederick Douglass. His legacy and the extremely significant role that his wife, Anna Murray Douglass, played, and his ability to become such a powerful orator and abolitionist is why School 12 was named in her honor. So I want to acknowledge Jacqueline Sprague and members of the Douglass family, President White, Commissioner LeBron, Commissioner Hallmark, and Powell, and the renowned Frederick Douglass historian, our own Dr. David Anderson, for many years of persistent work in leading this fitting tribute. It was an extraordinary moment. It was great to see kids so excited and performing for us. So that was a wonderful opportunity, again, to connect with the great families in our community. We're excited about the upcoming community forums, Phase 3, Facilities Modernization. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because the newly renovated James Monroe High School is where the first forum was held. And as you know, that campus is nothing short of phenomenal and certainly a fitting tribute to the great work that we're seeing there. So we want to make sure we have lots of enthusiastic participation on October 22nd at the Franklin Auditorium and November 19th at the Jefferson Auditorium. This is scheduled from 6 to 7:30. We also are including students and doing additional forums so that they can become experts in helping us learn about the things that they would value and support as we really focus on middle grades education and high school redesign. I'm going to talk a little bit about the FAFSA Fest. I again want to thank Mayor Warren, Pat Browse from the Rochester Area Access Network and the Rochester Education Foundation for the outstanding work they're doing. I was really pleased to join MCC President Ann Cross with our mayor and Pat earlier this month, where we were able to announce the FAFSA Fest and really talk to high school students and their families about getting that free assistance to fill out the financial aid forms. And for many families, this process is, and I notice myself, can be very daunting. So it's great to have our financial aid counselors on hand to provide assistance, and also just to have this level of service available for our kids and our families. So we do encourage and ask everyone to help us to get the word out, because it's a very important service. Rochester Education Foundation, as you know, they have a mission to provide programs and resources to improve learning and success in all of our public schools through partnerships. Last evening was a wonderful, again, opportunity to go to a tribute, to see so many members of the community out in full force to celebrate that foundation. They were able last night to thank and recognize Principal Sheila Webster from School 58 and our incredible music teacher, Kelly Fullman. She's an outstanding educator and is a music teacher this year in our Rise School. She's a teacher that I have known for many years, worked with for me in a prior district, and so it's an opportunity again to really recognize those professionals that make such a difference to the music and arts for our children. Also, it was thrilling to see Jashanti Henry. He received a flute at one point, and last night came back to share with us the talent. It's amazing to listen to this young man play the flute. He's active at the state and county level at this point, and he was extremely appreciative and thankful to the foundation, but the talent was moving. I can only say that it was just one of those moments that I won't soon forget. Lastly, I want to acknowledge and thank our Board of Education as part of School Board Recognition Week. It's New York State next week, so every year we do want to take some time to express how grateful we are to each and every one of you for your commitment to improve schools. We recognize the tremendous amount of hours you all put in on top of your jobs as parents and for your employers in various organizations. So we included the invitational invitation book from the school-based and district school-based planning.
Book. I want the candy.
And it's the candy. And some of you have favorites. We tried to keep track of all of your favorites. And while we shared your favorites with each other, we hope that when you open your mug, you'll find the one that you like. So again, we want to thank our Board of Education.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Vice President Powell, you're up. That's good, so I can eat the candy while you give your report.
Okay. Well, first, a point of personal privilege. I want to thank you for having a conflict on Superintendent's Day so I could give the greetings from the board. You know, I should learn to write a script because I did, lose my thought from time to time, but hopefully I did us credit.
I heard you did.
There was another point of personal privilege, but I'll have to move on because I can't remember. See, that's what you get when you don't write your script. The Finance Committee met Tuesday, October 16. We reviewed both the current year monthly financial report and voted to advance it. So at this time, I move that the District September 2018 financial report be accepted.
Is there a second to that? Second. Unseconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Second, we got the final version of the district's year-end financial report for 17-18. I move that the board accept that report.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Resolutions 368 through 375 inclusive are all resolutions that the Finance Committee considered and advanced to the full board. The first 68, 69, 70, 71, the first four are budget amendments that reflect year-end adjustments that were needed to reconcile the last year's budget with, with input from our external auditor. So that should be without any controversy. We also discussed the Rick Timms Budget and Development and Administrative Report. This report was the result of a study to ascertain where possible the rigor, reliability, and validity of the budget process and the administration of the district budget. The report was discussed in detail with questions from visiting board members beyond our committee membership. And the board now awaits the district administration's response based in regard to the timeline for implementation of the report recommendations. Finally, our October Finance Committee meeting featured a draft of the budget calendar. We will be taking any input we receive over the next month on the budget calendar into our next month's committee meeting, at which point we will try to update it and provide a firm calendar of the budget process for next year at our next business meeting. And in the meantime, we need to make sure that our board priorities are integrated into that process. The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled to be November 8th, time to be determined. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice President Powell. And we have, just for everybody else's information, we have a board goals meeting set for, have we decided yet? We have a date
yes, yet? It was sort of looking towards the 1st of November.
I know someone was doing a doodle poll or something like that.
Oh.
All right. But just to dovetail into what you're saying, in order for us to establish our budgetary priorities, we have to know what our goals are. So we're working on that, setting up that meeting. We talked about it this week, I think. And so I think folks are trying to figure out a time where we can all talk about that. So, Commissioner Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. President. On October 11th, the Community and Intergovernmental Relations Committee convened to discuss the Fall Community Forum, which will be held this Saturday, October 20th, beginning at 11 o'clock to 2 p.m. The event will be held at the Dr. Freddie Thomas campus, School 53. It is an event that would allow parents, students, and community members to engage and converse with the board and district staff around the issue of attendance, the code of conduct, and updates to the parent and family engagement policy. The event will feature presentations, a question and answer panel, a mock restorative panel led by the counseling department, and also the committee welcomed the members of the Excel Center Initiative, Dr. Gidget Hoff and Ms. Mary Bolin and Dr. Frederick Jefferson. This program is to create an adult high school demonstration program for those adults who are 21 years and older. It has been determined that a lot of people are not taking that task program, that task course, for a number of reasons, and this group is looking to have this program for those adults 21 and over. In addition to, they have to go through the same kind of high school process that our students who are under 21 have to undergo. And at the end of the program, the adults will receive a high school diploma. They will also receive a credential alongside the diploma as it relates to workforce, the workforce industry. So they will have an opportunity to really be able to be engaged in the workforce. And according to Dr. Hoff, this program is, I think is in Illinois, I believe, Carl, she said, and maybe even other places, and that employers are really attracted to this program and really looking to recruit people to this program, from this program because of the skill set. And so it looks like an opportunity for New York State for us to be able to have a program here. There's still a lot more work and discussions to be had, but they did in fact introduce this to the committee and looking for our support. And as a committee, Mr. President, we did give them our support. We think it's an exciting program. And they also had as an Excel Center advocate, Dr. Frederick Jefferson. And so you know, Dr. Jefferson is well known in this community, and you know, whatever he says and does is trustworthy. And so I think it's an exciting opportunity for the Rochester community. And I'll just end by saying the next meeting of the CIG committee will be November 1st, but I do want to just have a point of personal privilege. I don't know if I said this before, but I just really want to thank all the Rochester, the RCSD employees for the United Way. I think you all raised about $275,000. I know that I came here, I was really advocating it because of what the United Way has done for me in my own personal life. And so I really wanted to advocate for that and thank the city school district for contributing, you know, $275,000. That's just remarkable. I want to thank you for that. I also want to say that I did do my first school visit this year, went to Integrated Arts and Technology, that program. And I was really excited about what Kevin Klein is doing over there. They're going to be having, what's the guy's name? The nonviolence guy who lives here in Brighton. Gandhi, yeah, right. So he's going to be coming over and starting doing about an hour program over there that I think I'm going to try to attend. It really, it gets the school year off to a good start, you know, in terms of, you know, being able to, you know, reconcile issues and those kinds of things among students. So I'm looking forward to attending that. And then just lastly, I sent an email to a number of people, but I wanted, for those who I didn't get the information from, their names, I just want to thank you all for all of your support during my bereavement period. Many of you may know that I lost my aunt and then I lost my nephew who was killed over on Wilkins Street. So I tell you, as I told the members, my colleagues, words cannot express the support. And it just really is healing, and that support means more than you know. And I just want to thank you for your, you know, your cards, thank you for your thoughts, thank you for everything you did. So for those who I didn't get a chance to say that in an email to, I just want to thank you so very much for all of your support. Thank you. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
All right. Commissioner Funches?
Good evening. Hold on. Sorry. The Policy Committee was held on Tuesday, October 16th, to review the School Climate Advisory Committee's recommendations for revising the Code of Conduct, discuss plans for the October 20th Community Forum, and to finalize a number of proposed policies. The Policy Committee reviewed the recommendations of the School Climate Advisory Committee for revising the Code of Conduct. The administration will be analyzing specific steps, amount, and potential sources of funding needed to implement each of the recommendations to present a feasibility report to the board by November 30th. The members of the Policy Committee addressed a number of outstanding policy proposals in their meeting this month. Proposed revision to the Visitors to Schools policy, proposed alternative and homebound instruction policy. And as information items, members of the Policy Committee reviewed a number of new policy proposals related to non-resident and foreign students and payment of tuition. These three proposed policies are introduced this evening as information items: admissions for non-resident students policy, admission of foreign students policy, and non-resident tuition payment policy. The intent of these proposed policies is to provide guidelines for staff in admitting non-resident and foreign students, placing these students in RCSD schools, and requiring these students to pay tuition to the district. Currently, school administrators and staff determine admission and payment requirements for non-resident and foreign students, leading to a great deal of inconsistency in practice. Discussion items entered are the new proposed student harassment and bullying harassment and bullying prevention and intervention policy, which was presented to the board last month as an information item after being vetted by the School Climate Advisory Committee and Policy Committee. Additional changes were proposed to the proposed teaching of controversial issues policy, and also additional revisions to the proposed sexual harassment policy. For adoption this evening, there's a new proposed high school to higher education institutions policy which requires school counselors to prepare a college and career plan for each student by the end of 9th grade, and proposed revision to the board bylaws to reinstate the Human Resources Committee to the Board of Education. Our next policy committee will be Tuesday, November 27th at 5:30, but at this moment, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege. There was a horrific event that affected our schools last week. I would like to take this opportunity to commend our staff for keeping our kids safe. I would like to especially commend our crisis team and Ruth Turner and her team for reaching out to not only talk about physical safety, but for the mental and emotional safety of our teachers, our staff, our students, and our entire school family. I was at one of the schools during this time, and to watch how everyone came together as we spent the day to try to keep everyone safe and make sure everyone knew and felt safe and felt protected. I just want to say thank you as a parent, thank you as a commissioner, and thank you as a member of the Rochester community. And I am done.
Commissioner Hallmark.
Thank you. Mine is going to be short and sweet. The Governance Committee has not met since the last business meeting, and our next one will be November 20th at 5:30 p.m. End of report.
That was short. Wow. Commissioner LeBron.
I won't be that short. So, the Audit Committee did not meet prior to this meeting, but we are scheduled to meet on Wednesday, October 24th at 5:30 to continue our meeting from the September 18th meeting, which we discussed the risk assessment for 2018 and the audit plan moving forward. We're also going to discuss the confirming order procedures that's currently being utilized at the district. And on Tuesday, December 4th at 5:30 p.m. as well, we're going to have our required audit committee with our external auditors, and they are going to review the results of their financial audit for the year ending in June 30th, 2018. And so all board members are encouraged to attend. Again, that's December 4th. So that concludes that report. On a personal note, I do want to take a point of personal privilege. First, I would like to congratulate the principal from Monroe High School. She received the highest award yesterday at Ibero's 50th anniversary summit. So she was awarded for just the work that she does at Monroe, but also the work that she does for Latino students in the Rochester community. So shout out to Sandra. And then I want to talk about, last month I brought up the fact that there was an equity raise that 2 departments had did within the district. And today there was a story that Justin Murphy dropped discussing both that equity raise, but also a budget assessment that was done in the district last year, but was brought to the attention of the board just about 2 weeks ago. So I do want to address not only the story, but the equity policy. One, we don't have an equity policy, so I want to put that on the record. And you may have heard us talk about this back and forth. We don't have a policy that talks about equity pay. But what I did want to bring to the attention of the community, because I know this is recorded and I'm encouraging people to watch this on Facebook Live and also YouTube, was that the board had an opportunity to hold people accountable, and it failed to do so. The board voted not with the integrity and ethics that I believe in, and so I was not a part of that vote. There were 4 yeses and 2 noes, myself and Commissioner Shepard. Commissioner Elliott, as she mentioned, was absent and not here due to personal circumstances. But I want to publicly state this and acknowledge that I do not support voting without integrity and voting without putting our children first. And so I want to state that on the record, again, that myself and Commissioner Shepard, and that is public knowledge, we voted no against those resolutions, but we were outnumbered. And so I want the community to understand that when things like this happen, we're not always going to agree, but everybody should be voting with integrity, by putting our kids first. And when we talk about equity, the equity needs to be focused on our children in the school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBron. Commissioner Shepard?
I'll be going after that. So that's okay. The ESA committee did not meet in the month of October, but our next committee meeting is going to be November 13th at 5:30.
Well, that was short, too. I cannot oblige you all and be as short as Commissioner Shepard and Commissioner Hallmark, but I will do my best. First of all, I want to thank Barbara for the candy and the book, which should be pretty easy reading because it's pretty short. It's called Fundamentals of Invitational Education, so thank you very much. Maybe I shouldn't say thank you for the candy because I talked about heroes. My kryptonite is Snickers. And these little ones, they make you think you're not really eating a lot, but, I won't eat the big bar, but then you eat like 20 of these things. So thanks a lot, Barbara. The other thing that I wanted to mention, some of you may know, I consider this like a family. Over the years, I've been on this board 10 years, and so we all talk quite openly about our challenges. And I've discussed the fact my mom has Alzheimer's, and I had the blessing and the opportunity to go see her this weekend, as I've tried to make more efforts to do that. So this week I thought a lot about family, but what made me really think about family was the incident, I think it was October the 11th, that Commissioner Funches referred to. Because as you know, the facts of that case, and by the way, this is my president's report. You know, I have my weekly president's letter, read that. But I'm really compelled to talk about family. As you all have heard me say many times, I consider this a family. And when I heard about that situation on October 11th, I thought about that family. As you all know, that involved a tragedy that involved a family in Rochester. And many of them were connected with our district family. The gunman apparently targeted his own family members, I think killing one and injuring, I think, two. And in the process of doing that, he put our family, the Rochester City School District, in harm's way. As I think about our family and his family, I'm reminded that our family here at Central Office is owed a statement of thanks. I indicated earlier on, don't just blow off the statement, thank you, because it does mean a lot. As Commissioner Funches said, she and I were, I'm sure we all thinking the same thing, really, thank you for keeping our children safe. And while we do that, we also reflect on the staff members at those schools, the family members and the students. We think of them as family, and we turn our thoughts to not only October the 11th, but how they will have to deal with that in their lives going forward. We also, as a board, should thank our first responders, law enforcement, and you know, early in the beginning of every one of these meetings, we often give a moment of silence. We didn't do that this morning. I wanted to save it for the President's report. And as you take a moment of silence before we move on to our next agenda item, I want you, as I know you already have been, to think about your family and how important they are to you, as I have certainly done that. And I want you to throw up in prayer or in thoughts our district family and the family members affected by this tragedy. All right, now we have to move on to the consideration of resolutions. I need a motion to discuss resolution 327 to 339, educational partnership resolutions.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Funches. Any questions or comments for Dr. Nelms and his staff regarding those resolutions? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 327 to 339 say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
Yeah, 339.
Thank you. Did you record that, Madam Clerk? 339. Thanks. We're going to skip over Resolution 340 because that is something that I'll get a motion later on to discuss in executive session. I need a motion, therefore, to discuss Resolutions 341 through 362.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark. Is there a second by Commissioner Funches?
Oh, go ahead.
No. Questions or comments, Commissioner
Yeah,
LeBron?
I need Resolution 349 taken off right now to be discussed in executive session.
Okay.
But I won't mention, and then there's a specific individual there. But what I will say is that in the June meeting, we voted as a board collectively to defund this position, and particularly so that we can save the volunteer coordinator position. There was lengthy discussion about how the former assistant deputy superintendent that was here allegedly accidentally took that position off his budget. When the board budget was passed, that position was not funded for this particular individual. This board in June voted to keep that individual by defunding this position and then moving the funding over to save this individual's position. Then in August, they sent a deputy superintendent to present to the board to increase the position from a coordinator to a director. In an office, I want this on the record too, in an office that has 4 to 5 staff and already has a director, because this is so unheard of in many organizations to have that small group of individuals and have a top-heavy management. But when it was presented to us, which I know I voted no again on this, but when it was presented to the board, the administration failed to mention that we defunded this position. So we voted again, and the majority of the board voted in favor of the title change. But when I went back to look, and I rewatched the June board meeting this morning, so there were some things, Superintendent, that you specifically mentioned in that meeting, which is on YouTube, is that I'm trying to understand how we have a position that we voted collectively as a board to defund to save another position, and now months later it's back on a resolution with a title change when we voted to save the other individual's position.
So if I could, I just want,
Absolutely.
you're talking about Resolution 349, right?
Yes.
And Madam Superintendent, if this is going to require a discussion of particular persons, we should extract that out as you proposed.
But I didn't mention any individuals.
No,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm saying in her response.
Oh.
If it's going to require some detailed discussion about a particular person, we can, as she proposed, discuss in an executive session.
So I'm going to request that board counsel weigh in as to whether or not the conversation that occurred in executive session can be made public.
Well.
Ordinarily, it's appropriate for matters that are discussed in executive session not to be discussed particularly in public. However, to the extent that we're just talking about a general proposition as opposed to a particular individual, I certainly think that the question that was raised can be answered.
Okay, so can I know who has the notes that can answer that question? The original presentation was made by, was that, I'm going to have to go back and watch the minutes. I don't quite know which one we're talking about, so. Was that Dr. Golden's presentation or Dr. Mercedes-Miller's presentation?
Well, I tell you what.
I just, and again, happy to answer the question.
Sure. No,
I would
know.
like some time to process
Yeah.
the question and try to determine exactly what it is we're talking about.
So let's do this. Do you have an answer? Or no? Because this is what I would propose we do. That I'm going to pull out 340. We already done that. 349. You guys get some time to figure out if you can respond to 349 in open session, because it would be appropriate if you can. Absolutely. If you can't, we'll make it subject to executive session later on. Or let's say, what I'll do right now is I'll ask for this matter to be discussed in executive session. But if the answer should be public, we don't have to go into executive session for it. Okay? Fair enough? Okay. Make sense? So take the time that you need. We still got quite a few other items to go through. figure out whether you can say it and discuss it in public. If not, we'll put it in executive session. So what I'd like to do, because we got 340 and 349, I need a motion to discuss resolutions 341 to 348.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Funches. All right, so any questions or comments regarding 341 and 348?
I have a question on 344.
Sure.
So what does it mean? There's a column that says probationary period for 344. Under one of the candidates, it says upon completion of the certificate requirements. Can somebody explain to me what that means? This is resolution 344.
Okay, Human Resources? Yes.
Good evening. I'm Ann Brady. I'm stepping in tonight for Harry Kennedy, who is not here. New York State allows for an internship certificate if 50% of the program is completed. Recommendations being made to issue the certificate as the employee is bilingual and needed for the case position vacated by the only bilingual case, Yahira, I can't say her last name, was promoted to AP at another school.
All right, so say that in English, because I
Okay.
didn't hear anything that you really said.
Okay. So what it is this candidate has applied for an internship of certificate, which allows her to get her certification in a shorter period of time versus completing all her required education components. So the law does allow her to do that, and we're in the process of getting that approved, or she is in the process of getting it
So
approved.
then there is a probationary period
Mhm.
after that is completed?
Well, there will be when she gets her certificate, yes. And for New York State law, it'll be 4 years.
So now I have a question. Just to be clear, so typically the probationary period is like a period of time from this, like from June 1st, 1999 to June 4th, 2009, whatever, right?
Yep.
So now you're saying that this would come back again if upon completion of the certificate requirements, it would come back again with the actual probationary period?
Yeah, let me try and help a little bit. As
And if I
you
could
guys,
just add on to that.
Sure.
Why would we want to hire somebody if they haven't completed the certification?
Yep. So we're not actually hiring her. In order for her to get her internship certificate, she has to have a job offer that's been approved by the board. So we're making the job offer contingent upon her obtaining the internship certificate. It's a hurdle we're being made to jump through by the state ed. What we used to do was hire people without their certificates and say, you have until X period of time to complete it. That's not what we're doing here. This job offer is being made and being asked for the board to approve it, that if she does obtain her internship certificate, which her college is telling us she needs this board vote to do, then she would come on board and start a probationary period, but only after she actually has the certificate. So we're trying to ensure that
Her college is telling her that?
yes, she's halfway through her coursework, so she's eligible for an internship, but only if she has a job offer in which she'll be supervised by somebody who's certificated to finish the part of the certificate that she needs. But if she gets her internship certificate, she will be validly certified to work for us.
So
And
this certificate is the internship certificate?
That's correct, Commissioner, yes. Yep. And I was working with HR to help support this, but it's a position that is very, very difficult to find. It's going to be a bilingual case. We only have 1 or 2 of them right now. But again, if she fails to get her internship certificate, if you all vote, and she fails to get it, she will not come on board as an employee with us in that capacity. We are making sure that the cert is in place, but it's just a little bit backwards. We have to actually make the offer contingent upon her obtaining it.
So is she coming on as an intern?
Well, she'll come on as a probationary case, but she'll be working under an internship certificate. It's simply, there's 4 levels, there's different levels of certification, but they're all valid. This is an internship. It would then lead to an initial, which can then lead to a permanent. In the administrative ranks, there's 3. But so that she'd come in, for all intents and purposes, she'll be certificated. But we have to make sure that she can get it by telling her college in the state, yes, she has a place if she gets it. We don't get these a lot, but it's a pipeline, basically. I mean, it's something that other places do, and we hopefully can find a few more of, because there just aren't that many out there.
Once she gets the certificate, what would her probationary period be?
It'll be 4 years from the date she starts. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding resolutions 341 to 348?
Yeah, I have just date questions. For example, 345, 346, 347, many of those, and I used to, years ago, I used to have these, this was just a pet peeve of mine, that we would be asked to approve employment and people have already started. You know, so if you look at 340, let me look at 345.
Yeah,
you know,
October 1st.
Person started October 15th, you know? And then if, 346 has one, 347, we haven't gotten to 350 or 354, but, these should be, so whether we approve them or not, they've already hired. We've hired them, and so that's the problem I have. What if the board would have said no, but they're already hired? That's a concern of mine. We should not be approving employment for people if the board has not approved it, in my view. So I ask, Madam Superintendent, that we not get those kinds of resolutions where people have already started working and then you're asking us to approve it after the fact. That's not fair to us.
I actually want to second that on Commissioner Elliott's request, because you're right, like these positions started, what if there's an issue with an individual or a certificate issue that we're not aware of, and I think it's bad precedence, so I'm going to second that too.
Does the administration want to, I know Commissioner Elliott has been consistently made this point over the years. Is there any response from, just so that people can put it in its context, it's not that anybody's going to change anybody's mind, but there's some response that you want to?
So maybe first we can explain what it is, because frankly, I could support the change in practice and just not have the positions filled. It's fine.
Several years ago, we struggled getting teachers here on a timely basis. The challenge led to us having classrooms with no teachers or no paraprofessionals supporting the classroom. So as a result, the decision was made to move forward to put certified staff in the classroom to meet the needs of the students.
I would like to be informed prior to that, even if it's an email to us, that this is coming to us, as opposed to waiting until we get to this venue and ask for us to approve it. It really insults my intelligence, in all honesty. Mm-hmm. So if we can get an email prior to coming to the board that this is coming to us, it makes it more palatable for me.
I just want to state though, like October 1st is past school starting, so I do think that if HCI manage the schedule or the schedules, you can offer someone a position to start September 1st. We frequently have committee meetings right now, like lots of committee meetings. I don't see why they couldn't put that as an agenda on a committee, a standing committee, and making sure that there was enough votes to vote for it, or whatever the case may be. But I just think that this is just a mismanagement of time.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I just have a comment, whether you have to have it in a process, whether like Commissioner Elliott mentioned, because it does have an impact. I mean, you have here a speech and hearing services that if you do not deliver those on time, you only have one business meeting. So you are obligated to provide services to the students. So whether it's not at a business meeting, whether it's an email like the Commissioner Elliott mentioned, but you do have to provide those services. And if you don't hire those individuals, they might be recruited by another district. So you have to take that into consideration of finding a system to inform the board, get the board approval, but not delay putting those teachers in front of the students.
Yeah, Barbara, if you could propose such a system. I'm thinking, I'm not trying to shoot down that email idea, but as council has informed us, we cannot make decisions via email. So
Oh, no, I'm not.
I know you're just talking about notice.
Yeah, just information items, so to speak.
Right. So, but I think what is being proposed, or the concern that's being offered, is a good one. So, Barbara, if you could come up with some ideas, and we'll float them around at our next meeting. Yes,
And
yes.
just to,
Oh, I'm sorry, Willa was over.
No. Willa, did you?
The only thing I would add to the discussion is that we do get the packet more than a week in advance. So for many of these, at the time that the packet has been created and pushed through legal department for, make sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, many of these dates are still future dates when the packet is being finalized. It doesn't explain October 1 in this instance, but anything that happened after our September meeting and before this packet was generated, if that's a student, if that's a position that we need in order to educate our students, I just want to know what people propose that we do. Long-term subs, I mean, that doesn't work for every position.
Commissioner Elliott, were you going to say something else?
yeah, I just wanted to respond to Dr. Aquino. Part of the issue in the past, I haven't brought this up before because I didn't see it as an issue in a number of years. This is the first time in a number of years that it's been an issue, but it was so frequent before. And so that's why I'm bringing it to the attention of the superintendent and staff, because I don't want us to get into a practice that you could just bring this to the board, you know. So that's why I'm on it. I think that when these things come to the board, if they're, as Dr. Keener said, if it's a special situation, but still we need to be informed about what it's about. You know, just respect us from that regard. Yep. All right, thank you.
And I just want to say in regards to this, not all positions are the same. You know, we have teachers and people who are critical to pushing the mission of students. Not every position is the same. They don't all weigh the same. So there is a way that I know that Head Start does this. Okay, because you can for hirings and terminations like we do here, but they don't go on ahead. So that is something I know that I know that it does something about the way their human resources operates. But my thing is, I agree with Commissioner Elliott to say that there has to be a way that, because we've seen this before, because like I said, I agree with Commissioner Elliott that we don't want to get into a habit that people just believe that we're just going to sit up here and stamp everything that comes forward, because that's the message that you're sending, and it's not a message of respect.
Commissioner Hallmark?
Just one thought to add to that. I mean, we are possibly considering a restructuring of our committees and perhaps our business meeting times. And if we were doing this twice a month instead of once a month, that might take care of some of these issues.
So these are all good ideas and suggestions, Barbara. If within the next week, Dr. Lee, if you could help facilitate making sure that we get a proposal to the board through Barbara, that would be helpful. And you've heard a lot of good ideas here. Sure. So we'll work that out. And Commissioner Elliott is correct. I remember years ago, she seems like, I can't believe it, you would repeatedly make that objection. Oh, yeah. And you would not vote on those. But you haven't been doing that as of late, and I think that's right. Maybe
yeah, because it hasn't been
right.
an issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you all had been doing, but you're right. She hasn't been not voting for those because of that. So that might want to put that as part of your calculation. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So are there any further questions or comments regarding resolutions 341 to 348? All right. There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 341 to 348 say aye. 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 Any opposition? All right. I need a motion to discuss resolutions 350 to 362.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by
Second.
Vice President Elliott, Vice President Powell. Any questions or comments regarding resolutions 350 to 362? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolutions 350 to 362 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No to Resolution 353.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you recorded that? All right, I need a motion to discuss resolutions 363 to 367, additional pay resolutions. There is a motion from
So moved.
Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner Funches.
I have a question on 360.
There's a question.
Yes.
Yep.
On 365, 365, the curriculum development, I just need to understand what curriculum development is being developed, because my understanding, we don't have a curriculum right now, so we're doing curriculum development. Is this for the entire school district? Is just this for one school? So can I get some clarification on that?
It's about the 21st century. Right?
Page 35 at the bottom.
34.
Title I grant for curriculum development.
Dr. Golden?
It's not that we don't have curriculum. It's that we don't have a district-wide curriculum. As people are implementing particular programs such as extended learning opportunities, they need to have curriculum to support the work that the children are doing. This is being done, this one with Michael Allen is being done at his particular program. So this does not replace the need for district-wide curriculum, but this is just a small piece of it.
So this is for a program in our district? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding Resolution 350 to 362? I'm sorry, we were at 363 to 367. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of Resolutions 363 to 367 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No to all.
Got that, Madam Clerk? Thank you. All right, I've got that Snicker bar out of my mouth. I think I can continue. I need a motion to discuss Resolution 368 to 371.
So moved.
And moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Vice President Powell. Any questions or comments regarding these budgetary resolutions? I'm sorry?
368 to
It's
371.
368 to 371.
Yeah, but it doesn't appear there.
Oh, I see. I think our technical crew is on that. He's probably multitasking, doing a lot of different stuff, so.
So we're not doing the vote
Let's
here,
give
right?
Tom a round of applause. He's keeping us all aware.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, we all set there? Yep. Any questions or comments regarding resolutions 368 to 371? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of these budgetary resolutions 368 to 371 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any objections?
It's a nay for me on 368 through 371.
All right.
Thank you.
I need a motion to discuss resolution 372, procurement and supply.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Oh, man, it came fast and furious. Vice President Powell makes the motion. Commissioner Hallmark seconds it. Any questions or comments regarding 372? There being no questions or comments, all those in favor of resolution 372 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Next, turn our attention to resolution 373. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by
Second.
Vice President Powell. Any questions or comments regarding resolution 373, which is an educational facilities resolution? There being no further questions or comments, all those in favor of resolution 373 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, one more. These are resolutions 374 to 390. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by,
Second.
I can't say, Commissioner Funches.
I have a question. I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, before we move forward. Resolution 375.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to ask if there was a bidding process for this particular contract. My understanding when we do contracts with outside vendors that there has to be a bidding process and typically the lowest bidder. And that could be not done if it's a unique service that a particular agency is providing that no other agencies provide. But in this case, I do believe that we do have an agency in the city of Rochester that also provides very similar services.
Like which program? This is a city
This
Pathways
is
to Peace.
Pathways to Peace, but the Save Our Youth program through ABC also provides gang outreach and outreach to the community for at-risk individuals.
So let's back up. Is there someone, Superintendent, who could respond to Commissioner LeBron's question? Was there an RFP issued for this particular contract, and if not, why?
It is my understanding that we did not go out to bid for this, and the reason is because it's $10,000 with Pathways to Peace, with whom we've had a relationship for several years. That would be the answer. If going future, that's what the board would like, then we would, but that's not been done previously for this.
So let me ask you this, because you said it was 10,000. Is there a minimum amount for the bidding process? Who said yes? Yes. Yes. Carl, do you know how much that minimum is?
20,000.
Okay.
Any further questions?
And the board also is...
Carl, you'll need to take the mic. Thank you.
Sorry, Carl.
Forgive me, I really...
No worries.
Didn't anticipate the question, but my recollection of the board's purchasing manual actually authorizes bids at certain gradations, but it's consistent with the general municipal law, which basically has a $20,000 limit with respect to services and a higher limit, I think it's 30, with respect to public work capital projects.
Okay. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
If I might add,
Yes.
Ordinarily, if this were a first contract, this wouldn't come to us because the superintendent has the authority to engage in that contract without board approval based on this dollar amount. But because it is a subsequent contract to the same vendor, thank you. That's why this came before us. The previous one from that year did not, because it was under the threshold.
So can, and it doesn't have to be right now, can we get a total number of what this vendor has been paid so far?
We get a quarterly, what's the name of the report? I'm sorry. We get a report quarterly, and it's available to all board members at the end of each quarter.
Yeah, which...
That does exactly that. It breaks it down by vendor as they exceed the 35,000 threshold.
Yeah, I've seen the consultants, it's kind of an analysis of all the consultants quarterly, but for this particular vendor, I would like to understand how much this particular vendor has been paid. It doesn't need to be stated right now. I'm okay with getting that information in private, via oral or an email. I just want to throw that out there, that I would like to understand how much they've gotten before the quarterly report.
Okay, it sounds like a reasonable request. The best way to track that is probably through the question log. All right.
Thank you, Shanae.
All right. Any further questions regarding Resolution 374 to 390?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Elliott?
374. So help me to understand, why are we asking the student to pay a non-resident student tuition fee? Because students who live in the city and they go to suburban schools, aside from the urban suburban program, they don't have to pay tuition, do they?
So to that point, Commissioner, we are looking to essentially seed the suburban-urban exchange. With this case, because it requires board action for a non-resident student in the district to pay for the education. This is a student coming from Penfield, is taking course here. As a result, the board sets a rate, and Penfield agreed to that payment to reimburse the district, and that exchange will take place through the budget offices. Ironically, as of this morning, I received another call from another suburban district from a suburban parent requesting consideration for next year for their child. They've been searching for programming for their child. These are high-performing students, Commissioner, and they're looking for different types of experiences for their kids, and they're willing to pay as well.
So, but I guess I need more clarification about when students come from the city to go to the suburban schools, does the money go with them? How
Oh,
does?
yes, so.
I thought that.
Yep, the money.
That money would come from.
The money, I
state.
apologize. So the money follows the child, and as a result, in Everton, with that funding from urban suburban, those monies continue to follow the child.
Yeah, I know
in
they
that
follow,
case.
yeah.
Yep. But, so to that point, because we have not in the past 50 years applied the suburban-urban exchange, that language has essentially
So
been
in the past, students
antiquated.
was coming here free, who may have.
No, they just haven't, they have not come.
Okay. It was always.
There have been requests, but consideration has not been granted.
Okay, all right, so it's a new phenomenon, I'm told, so that's probably why I'm having it. It's not
Yep.
getting in my head. you know,
Understood.
with these
But
students
we
from-
have, we do
particularly
have.
from Penfield that want to come to our
Yep,
school.
we do have more suburban students who are requesting
but you
to
know.
attend our schools.
Okay.
That's, I heard one of my colleagues say that's interesting. That's also very positive, too. We were talking about this, I think, the other day.
Tuesday
at a
night.
committee meeting.
Yes.
And it'd be interesting to have our superintendent and staff understand what the baseline is. Pretty easy to understand. We don't have very many students coming into this district. It's been sort of one-way traffic. But I think that's a very positive indicator of progress that the district is making. Because in the years past, nobody was interested in coming to this district. We sent all of our kids in the other direction. So again, as my colleagues have heard me say, we need to celebrate our successes whenever we can. And this is a good indicator. No one's breaking any champagne bottles saying mission accomplished. But when students start recognizing what we have to offer, and we've offered for years, and families start recognizing that, that's a good thing. So kudos to you and everybody else who realizes the opportunity here and seizes upon it and makes people pay for it.
I do think, well, they've agreed to payment. I do think this was also born out of, as you know, I sit on the urban suburban board, and the superintendents at the table were talking openly about the socioeconomic integration grant pilot. So more and more families from suburban districts realize what some of the unique offerings we have programmatically.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I have another question on
Yes,
381.
go ahead.
So 381 about the soccer program, we're paying $3,600 for 2 School of the Arts students to participate in varsity ice hockey program. Talk to me a little bit about that. I think I see Carlos.
Saw this coming.
And I basically just don't know how this works, so.
Yeah.
So within the Athletic Association, we can create mergers. We normally do mergers right here within the district. So a lot of our programs are combined, especially in the sport of football, at least 2 or 3. The sport of ice hockey, we don't have the ability to offer it to our students because the interest isn't to the point of having one here. So we established, and for the last 5 years, we've been trying to work out with other suburban districts to merge with this particular program. We have a strong youth program here in Rochester that Florence Clements runs, and we have no true feeder for those students to kind of work their way into into a program within the city as a whole.
So, but we just have like 2 students who are interested
This
in
is the
ice
first time that we've brought this together, but the goal is to expose our students to what, you know, the suburban schools are providing with the goal of building it here and then having the ability to sustain here in Rochester.
Black people like ice hockey?
They do.
Hispanic
They do.
people like ice
We're exposing them to that opportunity, yes.
And Flo is an African-American woman, and she's wonderful. I just want to give her a shout-out.
Very similar to the momentum that we've had even with lacrosse.
We don't always like them cold sports.
I know.
Call the question, call the question.
You live in Rochester, New York, Cynthia.
Any other questions regarding these resolutions?
Yes, Mr. President.
374 to 390, I think there was some more.
Yeah, Natalie. Commissioner Shepherd.
Commissioner Shepherd.
Yeah, I just have 2 quick things. For policy 378, I just wanted to respectfully request that the policy be amended to add a cross-reference to an existing board policy, which is 0100. And it's titled District Policy Prohibiting Discrimination or Harassment of Students or Employers. And the reason being just because I received some community feedback in regards to how we're going to implement this policy. And I just wanted the community to know that we already have a policy that governs all of our policies in regards to addressing any discrimination.
I second that amendment.
Thank you. And then the last thing I wanted to say, and I wasn't going to say this either, is I just want people to understand the importance of this policy, because we just had our student reps sit up here and talk about seniors talking amongst themselves that said they wouldn't even know about the college process if it hadn't been for other students. And so I do want to thank school counselors for the work that they are doing, but we have to do more. And so I just wanted people to realize the importance of this policy.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner LeBron, did you have?
No,
okay.
I just want to.
Commissioner Hallmark?
Just wanted to give some thanks for the gifts. There's quite a few. I think Commissioner Funches and I are going to split it.
Okay.
So 384, Penfield High School senior class has donated $1,000 to fund books and supplies to School 9. The Day Automatic has donated $7,500 for STEM programs. And Deborah Cornfield has donated $650 to purchase uniforms for the students of RIA. There's more.
387, Key Bank has donated 115. Oh, yeah, I don't have
I'm
one
sorry.
anymore. Thank you. Key Bank has donated $115,000 to fund in-demand workforce training opportunities offered by OASIS. The University of Rochester Lab for Laser Energetics has donated $4,320 to fund student stipends for students of East High School who worked during the summer of 2018 on optical manufacturing, lens design, and image quality analysis. And 389, the Wendell has donated $750 to fund sustainability efforts by STEM programs throughout the city of the Rochester City School District. And in 390, M&E Engineering, PC, has donated $750 to fund sustainability efforts by STEM programs throughout the district. And we just would like to take the opportunity to really say thank you to everyone who has provided these gifts for us and our students.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hallmark and Commissioner Funches. All right. Any further questions or comments regarding Resolution 374 to 390? There being no further comments or questions, all those in favor of Resolution 374 to 390 say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
382, no.
382, no.
382 is a no for me, too.
So we have 3 noes for 382. Do you record that, Madam Clerk? All right. That completes the consideration of resolutions. We will next turn our attention to new business. I think Commissioner Funches identified a number of policy statements that are put before the board. I would note that I've been informed that Commissioner LeBron, that there is an answer to Resolution 349 that can be discussed publicly. That's what the superintendent told me.
Okay, so Everton will explain it, and Dr. Rowland has follow-up with information on the position itself, if necessary.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I just want you to follow me as I walk through the path as to how we got this position. And this is coming from the position point of view and the funding, so it's not an individual. So when we had the budget last year, we pulled budget information earlier during the year, and what we had in OPE was a coordinator of parent engagement. We also had at the time a volunteer coordinator position. At that time, the deputy superintendent wanted to combine those 2 roles into one and create a director of parent engagement. So when we had those both positions, when the budget was put together, the volunteer coordinator position was eliminated and the coordinator position stayed. In May of 14th of 2018, a conversion was made to take the coordinator position and make it a director position. Because the board voted on the budget, I think it was May 9th, The position that got loaded in the budget for 2018-19 was the coordinator position. So when those numbers rolled over, at that time, we couldn't go back and change it to a director because the position that was before the board.
Hold on,
the position that was before the board was a coordinator position.
Coordinator for a volunteer or a parent?
No, coordinator for parent engagement.
So the coordinator position of parent engagement, what you're saying right now is that that's the position that was eliminated?
No, that's the position that rolled over into the budget.
But the volunteer coordinator position was eliminated?
Right. So when we had the discussion, some discussion was had during meetings to reinstate the coordinator position, the volunteer coordinator position, and to use the money that was sitting in the parent engagement position to fund that position. So that happened.
That was in June. We voted. We had a whole discussion here at the dais about that decision.
I wasn't here in June, but I'm just following the paper trail as to what happened. So when that decision was made, we put the coordinator position, the volunteer coordinator position back in. So even though the coordinator of parent engagement position was there was no funding tied to it. So what happened, that another discussion happened because we wanted to put a position back into Office of Parent Engagement. And we found the funding in Title I because Title I has a 1% that we have to carry over for parent engagement. So that position could have been funded by Title I. So that position is funded by Title I. And also there was a discussion, and I think the question was asked, whether we needed a coordinator position or a director position. And it was determined that we needed a director position. So because the money was there in Title I to fund that parent engagement position, the switch was made and put in a director position. So we have a position management form that flipped it from a coordinator to a director based upon discussions that happened. And that can be funded by Title I because there's set aside money, a 1% set aside for parent engagement. So that's how that position, was funded.
When you say 1%, what actual amount is that?
The budget we have is about $24 million, 23 point something, almost $24 million.
And you may not be able to answer this, but I am going to ask, and if you can't answer, someone else can. Title I funding for parent engagement, could that money be actually used to actually do parent engagement activities versus hiring an individual?
Yes.
Okay.
And much of that money is also distributed to the school for their school-based planning, because in the past, and discussion has happened with the board.
And the same 1% you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
A portion of that, because it was discussion that OPE budget was cut, because when we had the audit, they said we have to push money out to the schools. So we can push money out to the schools, and the school-based planning determine how they're spending that money. They send a plan forward, OPE, approved it, and it gets done.
So there was no cuts made to school-based planning teams to support this position?
No.
Okay.
The only thing I was going to add is that the change from coordinator to director didn't happen until the conversation with the board permitting us to make that change to director.
Right, but when that conversation happened, it was not brought back up that the position was defunded in June. And it was unfunded. The amount from, it was moved over.
Right. The money wasn't there. So
there was no money, right? We used the money to fund another position. So, but that information was not shared with the board when we had the discussion. So that's an issue that I have. The other thing is that in June, Barbara Dean did say that she was going to look for funding for the position. So I want to say that, and that you would create some type of system where you were going to really clearly lay out where the funding came from, how long the funding was going to last, if it was a grant funding, and that you were going to have a plan to show us. And so I have an issue with the fact that that actually never happened either. So there are things that we'll discuss in executive session, particularly around this, but this happened in June, so. That was on the record, too.
I just want to say on the record that that's what Everton shared with the board and Carl shared with the board. So I believe there was a plan with the money. That's the information we're providing you now.
No,
so if
you
that
said it
did
would
not,
be,
Wait, you gotta let it,
did not
stop,
meet
stop,
an
wait,
expectation,
wait.
we can certainly correct that.
So again, anybody can go back to the June board meeting. It's on Facebook and YouTube. You said you were going to give it to the board prior to any decisions being made in terms of even before the hiring process started. Like, again, they just presented right now in October, in the October meeting. So I just want to state that that's what was said, but then that's not what it was done. And then this is the frustration I have, is that we're constantly dealing with these catching up and having to go out and go back to old board meetings to see what people were saying, to try to hold people accountable, which we don't do in this district. But I at least try to understand if people are going to say A, that they do A, and if they say they're going to do B, that they do B. So there are further discussions that need to be had anyway about this position, but those need to be saved for executive session.
So I want to be clear. The answer, you have additional comments or concerns that mention a particular person? Is that okay? All right. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. So I will get a motion to go into executive session in a moment, but I want to indicate that our next business meeting is November the 15th at 6:30 p.m. I'm sorry? 383, where you get 3? I got 374 to 390. I thought we did vote on 3.
We separated and voted on 374.
390. Yeah. Oh, no worries. And so the only two resolutions that we have to.
I just wanted to make sure that you recorded the votes from.
I have a no vote from Commissioner Elliott, Commissioner Fuentes, and Commissioner Shepherd.
Yeah.
Shepherd on resolution 382.
Right.
Okay.
You got that? All right. Yes, ma'am.
I know this is going to throw a real big monkey wrench into things,
Yeah.
but Resolution 382, Robert's Rules allows for someone on the prevailing side to open up a resolution to be reconsidered.
Yeah, that's true.
I would like to do exactly that and hear the arguments for and against.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to reconsider, say aye. Now, this is just, that doesn't mean you have to change your vote. It's just
No,
not.
Right.
Let me finish. This means that people will have an opportunity, our colleagues will have an opportunity to discuss Resolution 382. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right. Now, Madam, wait, please. What was the vote on 382? Can you tell us what the vote was?
4-3.
4-3. All right. So, was your motion? It's open for discussion.
Okay, so I have always had grave concerns about the involvement of connected communities. I think that they represent themselves as representing the Emma Beechwood neighborhood, but I don't know that they do. And I'd like to hear from my colleagues that voted no, and see if you can persuade me to join you in that no vote. And perhaps our legal counsel could tell us exactly what the agreement calls for, since we don't actually have that in our packet. My understanding was that the agreement was fairly benign in terms of what they offered, notwithstanding what Connected Communities stands for. So I really want to hear the arguments for those who voted no, to see if I can add my voice to that side instead of in favor of.
Would this be an executive session
No.
conversation?
Well, wait, please.
No.
We have decorum here. Wait a second, we have decorum. If somebody wants to say something, respond, just raise your hand. It's that simple. We don't need multiple people talking at the same time. Anybody want to say anything in response to what Commissioner Powell has asked, particularly those that voted in opposition?
But I want to get Commissioner LeBron asked a question.
About whether
it would be an executive session question, because we're talking about a particular entity.
Well, Carl, you want to take the podium? This is a fine line here. I'm saying this in advance of Carl's comment. This is a contract, or this is an agreement, which the public has every right to hear about. We can't discuss contractual terms, negotiations. Carl, can we, or should we? I would think we should be discussing this publicly. So in other words, if someone wants to respond to Commissioner Powell's question, I think they should be able to respond and talk about it. But if I'm wrong about that, let me know.
It is a close question, as you say, and as I'm trying to think through it. There's certainly, we have the executive session privilege, and I remind the board it's a privilege. This is not something you have to discuss in executive session. The law merely permits the board, if it wishes to talk about certain topics in executive session. So even if something's on the list, if the board wants to talk about it in public, and it understands what the downside is of doing that, the board's perfectly free to do it. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to know. The second thing, though, is that one of those exceptions has to do with the appointment of, usually it's a contractor, or it's some kind of a vendor, it's some kind of a private organization. This is not a purely vendor kind of situation. As a matter of fact, I understand this organization is going to actually have money flow into the district. So it's a closer question. Just think of it, though, in terms of the downside with respect to a particular organization. I think the board would want to be cautious about perhaps maligning an organization in public without having a fully vetted discussion concerning that. I would think that would be the downside, but I can't answer your question precisely with respect to whether this is a slam bang kind of executive session matter, because it's an unusual situation. It's not our hiring someone or appointing someone, but on the other hand, we are, except the financial arrangement is reversed. It's sort of out of an abundance of caution, to the extent that we can discuss the nature of the resolution without bringing into any characterization of the organization. I think that would be fair game for the public. But I think on balance, I would say, we need to think about that downside, potentially maligning an organization in public that we might not want to. So with that, again, I remind the board as to whether you go into an executive session or not is a decision for the board to make. It's not driven by the law.
So it would seem, given what you said, Carl, whether we should go into executive session on this would depend not on the question, but the answer. So there's 3 other members who your question is directed to. So only you could tell us whether, well, let me just see. The 3 that voted against it, would you prefer to go into executive session, Commissioner Shepherd, in your response?
Yes.
Okay, well, then that does it. We don't need a majority. So we'll...
I thought Commissioner Elliott just said that.
No. I was just trying to get clarity. He provided the clarity, the legal clarity.
I know, but then you just put it on me.
Before you ever asked her, Commissioner Elliott said she wanted to do it.
Well, I understand it, but but listen, like I said, I think it's a fine line. This is a contract. This is an agreement where we're entering into, and the public, in most instances, would have a right to know. We're talking about whether we're going to engage this group in the direction of our district. But listen, Carl said, for example, if it might, and I'm not saying you would do this, whether it might malign them or not. My only point was, we're talking about an agreement about how we're going to respond to issues that affect our community. And I'm thinking it's always better to opt for transparency. But as Carl says, there are situations that might require that. And I don't know what your answer would be.
I think the president, forgive me, expressed it exactly the right split that has to, it's a balance that has to be struck. So long as we're not talking necessarily to characterize the organization, but rather the impact of the resolution on the district's operations, certainly that's a topic for public discussion. The contract, of course, is a public document. It will not be secret, and the board's vote on that document is certainly not going to be secret. So on balance, if you can make that split, that's what I would recommend you do.
So I just wanted to follow up by saying that just because the conversation is going to be an executive session does not mean that any of us that voted no are not trying to be transparent with the community.
No.
It just means that if we are going to go back and forth in dialogue, that something might get said that could be misinterpreted, and we want to make sure that we can have a solid discussion amongst each other and be free from that so that we don't get into muddy waters, as our general counsel said.
Well, and I just want to be clear about this. I wasn't suggesting, and I apologize if that's how it was taken, I wasn't suggesting that you weren't not wanting to be transparent. What I was doing was, as Carl indicated, laying out for the community that there is a fine line here, and that there's the countervailing objectives here of wanting to thoroughly discuss something. Perhaps you don't, there's comments that can't be made publicly, and I asked you all that, versus the need for everybody watching this. They may not know what you and I know, that we are taking into account their right to know. Not saying you don't want them to know, but we were at a point in our discussion, Commissioner Shepard, where we were discussing the process. That's what, I'm not talking about what you're thinking. I just want to make sure we had an exhaustive conversation about our process, that the public is watching. They're going to want to know, not just the people who are from this organization, but it's going to want to know, why are we talking about this in executive session? So I was talking about the process. And if anybody thought I was suggesting that anybody on this panel was not transparent, that was not my objective. Just want to make sure people understand that we're discussing the process. So,
can I also add, President White, that we go to executive session on this, that also it does not imply that those who voted no and that their answer is going to malign the organization.
Right. That's right.
That I think that's just, they're going to be, you want to be overly cautious, that they're not going to necessarily speak badly about the organization.
yeah, and I think that was Carl's concern, right? And again, as I think you correctly point out, just because we're going to executive session, that doesn't mean that that's what anybody's going to say. Just being cautious. All right, so we got 340 and 349 to discuss in executive session. And then just, I already indicated what our next business meeting was, but before I take that motion, yes, ma'am?
And 382,
Which you just did, thank you very much, that's right, yep. So it's 382, 340, and 349. And then I wanted to correct something that I said, not a correction, but I wanted to recognize, I recognized Thomas. But, and we've done this before, I've done this before, I don't think I've called out names. There's staff members that make us all look good, even through our disagreements and misunderstandings. We have Mahima, Brandon, that are, I believe, are our district employees, and we have our students, Shamir, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. She is from the School Without Walls, right? And Piper, is that right? From East High School, who's also helping out, I think, helping out Todd. And I asked Commissioner LeBron, what song should we play at the end? In fact, because this was Hispanic Heritage Month, she suggested Cardi B, who has a Dominican father. I think she's from the Bronx. By the way, she has a Trinidadian mother.
Yes, she does.
And the song is I Like It. Go to it,
I Like It
Todd.
Like That, which is #1 right now.
That's right. All right, if anybody, I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss
Motion to go into
particular
executive
person.
session.
That motion been moved by Commissioner LeBron, seconded by Commissioner Funchess. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And for you diehard gladiators, we will be adjourning from
You have the
downstairs.
clean version, right?
Good
I got
night,
the clean
everybody.
version of this song. Please have the clean version of the song.
Yeah, we did ask for the clean version. I did ask for the clean version.
I just want to make sure.